Hi, welcome back guys, this is your friend, WTFW with another fiction. What if Deku transform into Medusa now? Before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Izuku wakes up and finds himself to what looks like some kind of void filled only in darkness and checks around to confirm his surroundings. But there's no one or anything else in that dark void he is in. Oh, now I remember. I died when the sludge villain attacked and killed me before All Might can save me from him. Izuku then goes to sadness after realizing and remembering what happened to him. Lastly, he will never ever fulfill his dream on becoming a hero just like his idol, All Might. Despite that he was quirkless, which he learned when he and his mom went to a doctor to see if he is manifesting a quirk at all. He was saddened when he realized he cannot fulfill his dream to become a hero, just like All Might, and his mother gave him lots of comfort. But still he wants to enroll to UA High to give it a shot anyway, even though he's quirkless. But I brought you here to give you another chance to live again. Ha, who's there? You can't see me, but you can hear me, Izuku Midoriya. Okay, you say I can live again, and you'll be the one to do it. Izuku, now calm, asks if the being whom he couldn't see can bring him back to the world of the living. Indeed, Izuku Midoriya. But be warned, you will be reincarnated as someone else. Not what you originally look like. Izuku is warned once reborn he will be another person, and not like what he originally looks like before, and no one will recognize him at all, which gave Izuku some time to think about it, if he will accept that. I'll accept my new appearance and looks, including a new name as long as I can be a hero. Izuku chooses to accept being reincarnated into a different person, as long he can be hero, even if he will be reborn as a total stranger to everyone and won't be recognized. Very well, Izuku Midoriya, prepare to be reincarnated. Then came a very bright light that engulfs Izuku, and he knows he will be reincarnated as a different person. But he will find out what he has become after he wakes up back in the world he knows. XXX. Flashback. Previously, Izuku was just returning home, but was attacked by a sludge villain. He did manage to evade him for a while. But in the end, he got cornered by the sludge villain, and it killed him by using his sludge quirk, just before All Might can appear and save him. What happened next is Izuku eventually finds himself in the void, where he was given an offer to be reborn and reincarnated as a different person. That has all come to pass now, and he is reborn and reincarnate. What else he will not know. How long has time, months, days, or years has passed since he died at the hands of the sludge villain. XXX. Present time. Izuku finally wakes up in an unknown location where he can see the sunlight. When he reached out to the sky, he noticed something was off here. He thought to himself, because that hand and arm, including her clothes and long gloves like he's wearing, looks like a woman's. Next, he felt like he has long hair that's colored in violet and feels that he has breasts. What in the world? He or she checked to confirm his or her entire body before going to a nearby lake to see what to her new face. I've been reborn and reincarnated as a woman, and I mean a beautiful woman. Izuku, now Medusa, shouted after realizing that he is a beautiful woman now. Plus, he has a new memory of his new name and identity. I have a new name too, and it's Medusa. Dagaba Beach. Izuku, now reincarnated into Medusa, finds herself waking up in an unknown location of Musutafu City, which is outside of it. But after that was done, she makes her way back to Musutafu City and landed on Dagaba Beach. She got there in a quick pace without catching anyone's attention thanks to her new speed abilities. After that, she lays on the sand to rest up a bit until it's time to move on to the next location, somewhere in Musutafu City. I accept who I am now, Medusa. Glad I managed to get my old notebook back to where I found it in the place where I died at the hands of the sludge villain, which was marked as my grave, Medusa said, holding her old notebook, and began sketching her new herself on the blank page. I know I was given powers during my reincarnation, but these new powers are not quirk. This is far different from a quirk, Medusa said to herself, because she figured out the new powers she was granted isn't actually a quirk. This is something from that Then suddenly Medusa's sketch writing gets interrupted by two boys who are very flirty with any beautiful girls they come across with. Their names was Denki Kaminara Chargebolt and Minoru Minta Grape Juice from UA High. But Medusa doesn't know that because she never enrolled to UA High when she was still Izuku Midoriya. Although he did have plans to attend UA if he did have a quirk, sadly bad things happened. But he lives again as Medusa. Well, it's quite possible as Medusa the plan to attend UA High was already abandoned. Hey there, beautiful. You want to hang out with us while you are here in Dagaba Beach? Denki asked, being very flirty with her. Yuua. Gross. Medusa looks away from both of them with the look of disgust as she stands up on her feet. Do you mind telling me what school you flirty boys go to? Because I can tell what you're wearing is really a school uniform. Medusa asked them politely without using any sigh of her disgust toward their flirting attitude. Oh, we are from UA High. Minta answer her question. Oh, Medusa as Izuku Midoriya in that previous life actually wanted to attend that school too. But sadly that isn't happened because of death caused by that sludge villain had to step in. But I've already abandoned that after I was reborn as Medusa. She thought to herself of the plans she has now abandoned because her old life as Izuku Midoriya is no more now. By the way, I'm Denki Kaminari, hero name Chargebolt. Minoru Minta, hero name Grape Juice. Me and Chargebolt are both heroes in training. Is that so? Yeah, Chargebolt said before Medusa will now introduce herself. My name is Medusa. Introduce herself to them. Medusa? As in the snake hair lady? Gorgon 2. Correct, Grape Juice. What you heard with me having snakes as my hair is just something that scientists thought of. I'm the real deal here. Medusa tells them that what they thought about her in Greek mythology is different. And she is the real deal then. Okay, we get that, Medusa, but do you cover your eyes with a blindfold? And if you take it off you will turn victims into stone if they look you in the eyes. Chargebolt asked Medusa what will happen if Medusa removes her blindfold. Oh sure, they will know what happens next anyway thanks to Greek mythology. Medusa thought to herself again. Absolutely, Chargebolt. You want me to take it off and see for yourselves what happens? Medusa said with a nasty smirk on her face as she reaches for her blindfold to remove it. No, please don't do it. Minta jumps into her, preventing her from doing it, not waiting to be turned into stone, if they believe that's going to happen after Medusa removes her blindfold. Just kidding. I just like to see the looks on your faces, Medusa said, and Minta gets down from her while she laughs at her one joke. XXX. Next up. While they keep talking, Medusa then spots a quirkless thug walking past them with what looks like a purse in his possession, which means he must have mugged a woman for sure. What's up, Medusa? Denki asks, and Medusa points her finger at the thug. Do you see what's in that man's possession? That's a purse. Do you think he mugged someone? Certainly, Grape Juice. I say that man just mugged a woman. But he's not escaping with it for long. Medusa pulls out her nameless chain daggers that she had hidden somewhere in her outfit and grabs the thug by the throat with the long chain and kills him with a single fast strangle, which shocked the duo. Hey, why did you kill him? Denki and Minta suddenly gets knocked out with a karate chop by Medusa after they ask her their question. Why did she just kill the man when they could take him alive to be brought to justice in their moral way? Oh, they never ask Medusa if she is a hero or a villain, or even neutral in the long war on crime. Apologies, Chargebolt and Grape Juice, but this is different now for me. Before all this, as Izuku Midoriya, I was planning to enroll to UA High Quirkless, or not just to fulfill my dreams on being a hero just like my idol All Might. After I ready for some action, I will be moral when it comes to fighting crime. But I never got my chance despite that fact I was quirkless and was killed by that sludge villains, and then reincarnated as Medusa. Moral codes are irrelevant for me now as I have a new personality and not just a new body, appearance and new power. Medusa talks about her old life as Izuku Midoriya before fleeing the scene, but leaves both Denki and Minta where she left them. Looks like some villain organization known as the League of Villains are going to attack Yua High with everything they got. Medusa stole Denki's and Minta's cell phone, then got the text message sent by All Might himself about what's going on in Yua. XXX. Suddenly Medusa blacks out as she was leaving for Yua High to get some of that action. What she sees next is the Medusa from the events of the original Fate Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works, and Heaven's Feel. She watches the three Medusa from those three universes battle different opponents before being defeated in the process, except for one universe. First she watches Medusa battle, and was defeated by Arthoria Pendragon Saber's Excalibur Noble Phantasm. Next she watches the Medusa from the Unlimited Blade Works universe battles, and is defeated by a man named Soakiro Kizuki. The final part is in the Heaven's Feel is Medusa battles, and survives, then lives a normal life with the others after helping with the defeat of Saber Alter. XXX. Well, maybe that I can consider myself to be another Medusa from another universe as well, just like the others. But I can do my best to survive. But I have no idea why did I have to see that anyway. Medusa then continues onward to Yua High. Previously, Medusa had just killed a quirkless thug who mugged a woman and ran off with her purse. Well, she killed him right in front of Denki Caminera Chargeable and Minoru Minta Grape Juice, whom she just met. Medusa then knocked them both out after they questioned why did she kill him. Well, they never ask if she is a hero or a villain or neutral in the never-ending war on crime. After that, Medusa steals their cell phones and got the text from All Might saying that Yua High is under attack by the League of Villains, which she never heard of before fleeing Dagaba Beach, leaving the knocked-out Denki and Minta behind where she left them to lay. But then suddenly she returns to them for some reason, because she has second thoughts about leaving them there. After learning that they are students of Yua High, Medusa remembers as Izuku Midoriya back in the old life. He had plans to enroll in Yua High. Even if he was quirkless, he still wants to try. But as Medusa, that long-time plan to enroll to Yua High was then abandoned due to the new life as Medusa. On second thought, I do not like the idea of leaving these flirty boys behind, so I'll take them back to Yua High since that's where I'm going anyway. Medusa then wraps them in her nameless chain daggers, then leaves with them. I bet the leader of the League of Villains, whoever that is the arch nemesis of All Might and worst enemy. Medusa concluded, and took a guess that the leader of the League of Villains, which is known as All for One, was also All Might's worst enemy and nemesis. But she doesn't what he looks like, because she never met him yet. XXX. Elsewhere. In Midoriya, Izuku's mother is visiting her son's grave. Her husband Hisashi Midoriya is still away from Musutafu City, but he was informed on what happened to their son, leaving both of them with a lot of grief for their loss. When Inko arrived at her son's grave, she noticed something was not right here. It's because she noticed that Izuku's old sketchbook is gone because she left it there to begin with, and now it's gone. Well, she doesn't know that Medusa took it, and she doesn't know that Medusa is really her son reborn and reincarnated. Inko then proceeds to pick up her cell phone and call none other than All Might. In the past, she told All Might how much Izuku wanted to be a hero, and how much he idolizes All Might. Even the part of sadness that Izuku had after learning from the doctor that he was quirkless, making him realize he won't be able to make his wish come true now and be a hero like his idol All Might. Unfortunately, All Might isn't answering her calls due to the attack on Yua High caused by the League of Villains, leaving him too busy to answer her call. I wonder why All Might isn't answering. That's because Inko doesn't know about the attack in Yua High, and All Might is too occupied fighting against the League of Villains. Unknown to her, Medusa passed by after jumping to the next rooftop with Denki and Minter wrapped around her chains behind her. XXX. Unforeseen simulation joint Yua High. What's going is while All Might and the rest of the teachers of Yua High were overseeing the students undergo another field test for training to become the next generation PRTO heroes, when suddenly a portal appears and a horde of villains emerge from it, including the League of Villains. All the teachers who were pro-heroes, even the young UA students, have spring into action for a defensive position against the League of Villains, and the Namu they brought with them. So far, many of them defeated the grunts of the League of Villains. Momoye Yorzukrieti and Kyoka Jirarphone Jack managed to defeat a large portion of them, while defending most of their friends who just reached their limit after using too much power from their quirks. Momokrieti defeated much of them, using a metal bow staff she created with her quirk. Kyophone Jack used her earphone jacks to defeat many of them, leaving them incapacitated thanks to the loud screen noise from her earphone jacks. Now they are all surrounded by many more League of Villain grunts. "Oh great, we are cornered," Momokrieti said as she and Kyophone Jack raised their hands as a surrender, until they can come up with something to get themselves out of this situation. "I supposed you at least have some sort of a plan." "I do, but I just don't have the right moment to put it use yet, Gyro." XXX. On another area, All Might finished battling the Namu that picks a fight with him, and he knocks it out with a Alabama smash before being confronted by his worst enemy. All for One, the leader of the League of Villains. Then the two battle each other in the style of a titanic battle, and try to finish what they started all these years ago. Even it does come with very painful injuries. Unfortunately, when All Might was putting up a good fight against All for One, suddenly that injury that All Might sustained all those years ago interrupts him, causing him to weaken in the process. No, not now. All Might falls to his knees, weakened by his injuries, while Nimuri Knight provides him with aid after seeing what's going on. "Bad timing, isn't All Might? I destroyed your mentor Nana Shimura, and now I'm going to destroy you and everything you loved in life." All for One prepares to kill All Might and Midnight. Well, Midnight knows she can't beat All for One. XXX. What happened next is coming at the unforeseen simulation joint in high speed. Was Medusa, who appears in a sparkling dust and tackles All for One before he can deliver a finishing blow on All Might and Midnight too. "Who are you, woman?" All for One gets back on his feet and demanded to know who she is, but Medusa says nothing and slowly approaches him with her dual nameless chain daggers. Medusa took a guess that the man she is confronting is really All for One and leader of the League of Villains, but not going to ask for his name anyway. Oh, she drops Denki and Minta where she appeared. Medusa attacks first in full speed, and All for One throws punches at her, but miss, and they resort to CQC. But Medusa is so fast, and All for One can barely keep up with her movement and strikes until Medusa elbows All for One on the face twice, sending him flying before Medusa kicks him in the gut after appearing in front of him, then stabs him in the left shoulder with one of her nameless chain daggers, making blood splatter. "You'll pay for that." All for One used one of his multi-quirks to throw sharp objects at Medusa, but she evades them to the left and right before jumping high up into the air, pulling All for One, who had one of Medusa's nameless chain dagger attached to his left shoulder, who then slams into the ceiling, then into the simulated buildings. Then Medusa spins him around, slamming him into multiple objects like the dome fountain before sending him flying, and he crashes into simulated mountain and skidding into the ground, where his fellow League of Villains comes to his aid. Oh, the nameless chain dagger already unattached itself from him when Medusa spin him around and sends him flying. All for One has been badly injured in his first fight with Medusa, which was a very brutal one because she wanted it that way. "You'll pay dearly for that, woman. Next time I'll be coming for you. From now on, League of Villains, it's time for us to retreat." All of the League of Villains regroup and retreat from the unforeseen of simulation joint, because with their leader badly injured, they need to retreat by entering the portal. But some of League of Villains have already been captured after getting knocked out by the pros and students, so they are getting left behind. "Now just you and me this time, my All Might." Now Medusa set her eyes for All Might, much to his and Midnight's shock, because they thought she was here to help them. Unforeseen simulation joint. "What? You just saved us, didn't you?" All Might asked, because Medusa just saved them, and yet she wished to do battle with him after she set her eyes on him. Now after she drove All for One and the League of Villains into retreating. "I did, my All Might. But Chargerbolt and Grape Juice, whom I brought back with me and returned to you, never actually asked me if I was a hero or a villain or neutral in the never-ending war on crime when we first met in Dagobah Beach. Anyway, I want no one to interfere with this fight between you and me. In the P grounds, you will face me, my all might. Also, I don't care if you're still in a weakened state or too exhausted to face me, just be there, and I'll be waiting. And just like that, Medusa disappears in a flash of sparkly light, and sheesh as Medusa. Izuku is getting so used to his or her new personality, even if this goes against everything he believes in back in the old life. You sure you want to this, All Might? Midnight asks if this is what All Might wants to do as he gets back on his feet. I got no choice, Midnight, or she will come back right here and bring me out by force instead. In the meantime, you all the others and our students get some medical attention. So All Might gets outside to the P grounds to face Medusa, not knowing that this isn't going to end well, because Medusa can be very dangerous when it comes into battling her. XXX. P grounds. All Might wanders around the P grounds, but keeps on his guard so he can avoid being struck by Medusa if she ambushes him unseen and from out of nowhere. All Might quickly turns around and blocks an ambush strike by Medusa after she appears out of nowhere. All Might flip jumps and move out the way to avoid the chains from Medusa's nameless chain daggers that she is now using as a makeshift whip that inflict some damage to anything and anybody it hits, almost like a regular whip, before Medusa hidden herself again out of his sight. What's a matter, All Might? You refuse to press forward on me. I'm surprised, Medusa asks him, because he usually should be able to take on any opponent regardless on how tough they are. Sorry, but I'm completely exhausted from my fight with All for One. All Might answered her while he gets into cover behind the gym. I see. That's not like I remember you when I used to idolize you back in that other life I used to have. In that case, I will use a different tactic on you. My All Might, I will try to kill you gently, Medusa said with a toxic smirk on her face, preparing to strike again at All Might. Although Medusa doesn't sound serious about the part where she said she will kill All Might gently, unless she's just making them up, and she was actually planning on sparing him. Medusa then launches herself from the trees and directly at All Might. But he sees her coming and blocks her nameless chain dagger strike and another strike as he pulls back. He avoids her high kick, blocks the chains again. Very impressive, woman. You are not afraid to challenge the #1 hero and symbol of peace head on. All Might compliments her. Medusa is not afraid because of her new powers that she never had as Izuku Midoriya in the old life. That's kind of you to compliment me, my All Might. But you already got caught by me. And you have been since the very beginning. Suddenly All Might cried out in pain when suddenly his right arm is starting to bleed, and he's lifted off into the air because he was somehow caught by one of Medusa's nameless chain daggers that's impaled on his right arm and wrapped around his bleeding right arm and wrapped around the branch of a tree. Somehow Medusa was able to impale All Might with her chain dagger during the brief fight, although All Might didn't feel a thing for some reason. Now that you've been subdued by me, I say that this fight is already over and I have won, Medusa said as she turns All Might around, and she talks to him in a seductive way to him while she touches him in the face with her left hand. All Might blushed too because of her seductive manner toward him. What are you going to do with me now, woman? Kill me gently like you said before. All Might ask if Medusa will kill him because he is helpless and defenseless to fight back now. Unfortunately, I won't do that, my All Might. I love having you around, so I will take my leave now. Medusa let go of All Might and release him as he falls into the ground and removes her chain dagger from his impaled right arm. Wait, I haven't got your name yet. And what do you mean you idolize me? Medusa stops walking and turns around to tell him her name, but will not say why she idolizes him, because now is not the time who she is back in the old life. Remember her name, my All Might, Medusa, the snake-haired lady and Gorgon. She then disappears in a sparkly light, leaving All Might somewhat shell-shocked after hearing her name. Medusa's path. I'm away from my All Might and the others after the short duel with him. I finally have some time off to myself now. I don't know how, but maybe some new memories that's been uploaded into my head is jagging my old and new memories at the same time. So just like that, I can somehow sing a song for everyone in Musutafu City to listen to. even the enemy as well. Although they'll never know where I'm singing from, so they can't know where my location is. Anyway, I position myself in a tall building in Musutafu City during the night. End of puff. Musutafu City unknown location. Medusa is already positioned in one of the tall buildings during the night, and then she used her powers to create a music to play all over Musutafu City and possibly all over the country too. Whoa, who's that? Some random boy who was just watching his favorite show, when suddenly the channel went static, then changed into Medusa's channel. Don't know, but think she is going to sing, the boy's big sister said. Wanna change the channel? No, let's listen to her song. Well, they will listen Medusa's song, but they have no idea they cannot change the channel because she has full control of every channel. Medusa doesn't even need a microphone or speakerphone since her powers are enough to work like both of those things, and it's loud enough for everyone to hear. Also, any channel that's been playing has been hacked by her, so she is in every channel, including big screens TVs on every city too. The last thing that's been hacked, in case nobody is watching the TV, is the radio too, so everybody can listen from there too. Waiting for dawn. Gently close your eyes. I just waited for a new wind. I will shine light on my heart. Good night, my first star. Keep shining forever. To grant your wish. I won't tell you because I'm watching over you softly. I don't need an answer, just ask. Not goodbye, last word. Continue to sing your song in a city without you. I'll look for your smell that was kidnapped by the breeze. In the sky somewhere far away, you can surely meet in your memory. A flower that never withers in a dream like that day. The view of the platform of the station. It changed from that day. I liked you. The red bench stays cold there. I want to meet you, words I sent many times. I'll stop tweeting anymore. I can hear your voice. Go ahead and laugh. I'm lonely and laughing, even if I want to cry. No one knows, just two people. I'll keep that promise forever. I hope you can meet again in your dreams today. A faint laugh that can only be heard there. Someday the humming song that we sang together. I'll carve it on my chest if I close my eyes. Wrap me in tears all the time. You're funny. What are you crying? It's okay. It's a treasure. I can still hear it. You can hear it. I want to see you. I want to see you. My chest hurts. Similar to you looking for. Hurry and wide back like that day. I don't need an answer, just ask. Goodbye. Thank you for your smile. Continue to sing your song in the city without you. Flowers that never die in dreams. Finished. After the song. Thank you. Medusa bows her head to everyone who is watching on every screen and listening in the radio. XXX. Everywhere in the country. Everyone who watching and listening, plus those who see Medusa as a newcomer, clapped their hands and cheered, because they liked it, and it was very beautiful. Oh, even All Might and everyone in UA High did the same thing despite what she too did All Might in their short duel previously. I never thought Medusa can sing, and it was very beautiful. All Might compliments Medusa for her song. Perhaps Medusa can do more than that. Midnight said, believing that Medusa has more talent in herself aside from singing. Perhaps. But still, what did Medusa mean when she said she idolizes me back in an old life? All Might and the others don't know what Medusa meant by that. But she will eventually reveal it all in time when she is ready to say. Void. Oh, I'm back here in the void again. Medusa wakes up after she suddenly blacked out while jumping across the rooftops again, and now she wakes up back into the void once more. She still remembers this place where she was reincarnated during her final moments as Izuku Midoriya. Whatever reason why I'm here again, it better be a good reason. Medusa hopes it will be good. But her answer is in the form of a woman with black long hair, black clothes, yellow gloves and boots and white cape. Plus, she wears a belt that was colored in red, and the metal buckle in the middle was yellow. Who are you? Medusa asked, arming herself up with her nameless chain daggers, preparing to defend herself in case this stranger is a threat. My name is Nana Shimura. I was the previous user of the One for All quirk. and I was the mentor of Toshinori Yagi Ake All Might. Nana Shimura introduced herself to Medusa, which surprises her. And she put both her nameless chain daggers away after being convinced that Nana Shimura is no threat to anyone. Was All Might quirkless like I was when I was still Izuku Midoriya? He was in the past Medusa. He told me a lot of reasons why he wanted to be a hero, and the symbol of peace, even though he was quirkless. I told him the ones who's always smiling are the ones who's the strongest. Nana said, showing the same smile she gave to All Might all those years ago, when she was still alive and active during her time using One for All. You may have been the same as him, Medusa. Maybe. But my reason is because I idolize All Might, and it was my dream to be like him. Although the discovery that I was quirkless left me saddened, but I've never given up on any hope on being like All Might despite what people say to me about being quirkless. Medusa says to Nana that she can compare herself like All Might, except that her reason on wanting to be a hero like All Might was different when she was still Izuku Midoriya. But you finally got what you wanted after getting reincarnated as Medusa now. Then Izuku Midoriya, who was your original self, is just a thing of the past now. But I have a new personality, and I'm willing to kill any criminals I want because morals are irrelevant for me. Or I'm just not so moral toward my actions. Medusa noted to Nana that due to her new personality she was given, she won't be so moral toward her action this time. Although if she was still Izuku Midoriya, then he would have been moral with his actions when it comes to fighting crime. But being Medusa is a very different thing now, where morals is less relevant. Even if you choose to be that way just because you're Izuku Midoriya anymore, just be yourself, Medusa. And I'm pretty sure one day, you'll just be like All Might, like you dreamed of, even though you're different now and your powers isn't a quirk. After that, Nana Shimura disappears in a flash of light. I guess that's my time to return home, Medusa said after she gets engulfed in the white light, ready to return home now and leave the void. XXX. Dagaba Beach. Medusa appears in a flash of light, and she is right back in Dagaba Beach again, where she first met Denki and Maita. Well, it's good to be back home now. But Medusa then has a question she never actually asked Nana Shimura, because it never occurred to her the first time she met her. Plus, Nana didn't say. Wait a minute, how did Nana Shimura died? And who is responsible for her death? Medusa shouted that out loud, making some people to hear all that. But some will think it's just some woman freaking out after asking that question. There's something else that wasn't answered or asked. What Medusa doesn't know is Nana Shimura has a family of her own, which a son named Kotaro Shimura. Unlike many of the people who are fans of superheroes, her son Kotaro wasn't one of them, although it was likely he was a fan before. Kotaro grew to hate superheroes because his mother Nana chose to just leave him, which made him grow up with a grudge. Nana may have actually did this to protect him, because she must have known that her demise was coming. But this came with a price. Because Kotaro is unaware of this, Kotaro would treat his own family in a very bad way due to his grudge on superheroes. Kotaro would abuse his own son whenever he talks about superheroes. But he would pay the price as well when his own quirk manifests and turns into a carnage. Dagaba Beach. I think I can answer your question about what happened to my mentor Nana Shimura. Medusa turns around to see who said that. Oh, it's you, All Might. I only know her because I met her while I was back in the void where I first came out from, and I asked her if you were quirkless, and she said you were until she passed on some of the One for All quirk to you. Medusa tells All Might where she first met Nana Shimura, which is from the void, but does not mention that she was reincarnated from the void during her final moment as Izuku Midoriya. I don't know what you mean by the void, but I'll tell you what happened to Nana Shimura. Do you remember the leader of the League of Villains? The one you just brutally beaten? Yeah, what about him? His name is, or he is just known as All for One. He was the one who killed Nana Shimura, and that battle was her final stand and most likely the last time I, and anyone who saw her now. All Might tells Medusa about the fate of Nana Shimura and who caused it. Also, I know that Nana had a grandchild, but she put him foster care to shield him from the hero world because she was concerned about him. and after that he was never heard from again. What All Might, Medusa and others don't know is that the one called Shigaraki who has a hand mask on his face is actually Nana Shimura's grandchild that's somehow been corrupted by All for One after he found him. Also one boy named Izuku Midoriya who dreamed on becoming a hero like me because he idolizes me. That's what his mother and co told me despite the fact he was quirkless. And I would have told young Midoriya it would have been impossible for a quirkless person to be a hero. Although I would have given him a chance anyway if he has a lot of potential. But I do, All Might. I do. Medusa thought to herself. But you continue her legacy, right? As the symbol of peace, yes, Medusa. And that's how I want to honor her memory. Especially young Midoriya, even though he never got his chance to be a hero like me or her. All Might said, but Medusa noticed someone is trying to sneak up behind her. Medusa counters by grabbing what looks like earphone jacks and suplex the user hard in the ground, and it turns out to be Kyoka Gyro aka earphone jack. Medusa took a guess that the entire conversation she had with All Might was just to distract her, so she can be knocked out. Medusa looks around her and sees several UA heroes and pros ready to attack her. If this entire conversation was all just to distract me, I'm impressed with you, All Might, Medusa said, drawing both her nameless chain daggers. Sorry about that, Medusa. But you told everything you needed to know. Still, you haven't told me what do you mean that you idolize me as well. I'm not ready to answer that question yet, All Might. XXX. Next. But I can give myself an edge against all of you. What Medusa means by that is she plans to put one of her noble phantasm to use this time and now. I have a bad feeling about this, Shoto commented, as the above them started to glow blood red. Dagobah Beach. Bad feeling, you say, Fire and Ice Boy? How's this for bad feeling? Then everything around the UA gang is covered in a blood red dome. Now let's see you all try to take me on without even leaving my blood Fort Andromeda or blood temple, because I'm the only one who can turn it off. Medusa shows her toxic smirk on her face once more. Bring it on, you snake lady, Kaken said, ready for some action. Typical Kaken. Always hot-headed aside from just being hot-tempered, and always believes his explosion quirk makes number one, and always the best. Medusa thought as she readied herself to fight them all. Hey guys, do you think this blood temple of Medusa is some kind of quirk she is using? Tenya LDA aka Ingenium wonders if this was her quirk. Find that out for yourselves, Four Eyes. But they'll come to realize that noble phantasm isn't actually a quirk, and even if Medusa blurts that out. XXX. Blood temple inside. Medusa goes CQC with Momo Yaoyorozu Aka Creati, who fights her with a metal bow staff she made from her creation quirk, but couldn't even hit Medusa due to her speed. That all you got? Medusa asks as she grabs the bow staff, then kicks Momo in the gut and knocks her out by striking her in the back of her head with her bow staff. Next, Medusa deflects an electric bolt that came from Denki using her nameless chain daggers, which in turn hits Fumikage Tokoyami Akatsukayomi, and he drops unconscious after Medusa gives him a high-powered punch to the face that was enough to bring him down. Real nice, Chargebolt, real nice. Medusa complimented Chargebolt. I'm very sorry, Tokoyami. Then suddenly Medusa grabs him with her chains and pulls him toward her, then high-powered kicks him in the gut, sending him flying and crashing into Mainta, knocking them both out in the end as they both float in the beach water while on top of each other. Anyone else? Medusa asks if anyone else wants to pick a fight with her. Pow! Medusa hits Toru Hagakure aka Invisible Girl, who tries to sneak up on her and knocks her out. Don't even think I wouldn't even notice anyone sneaking up behind me, even if you are invisible to see. Medusa then got frozen caused by Shoto while her guard is down. You got her, Shoto. Ijiro Kirishima aka Red Riot congratulate him. Thanks. Think again. Ha ha ha. The entire block of ice shatters to millions of pieces caused by Medusa, and she is completely unharmed by being frozen. Let's see you try this. Medusa charges in full speed and tackles both Shoto and Ijiro with both her wrists, which easily brings them both down in the process because she strikes them both in the head. Next up, Tenya tries to take Medusa head on only to have both of the two engines from his hero costume to get ripped out by her bare hands with no problem before she knocks him out when Medusa used them as a makeshift weapon and breaking his glasses in the process too. Next, she avoids being shot by Snipe. Then she used her daggers to ricochet the second bullet that struck Snipe by the mask, damaging it. And while he's distracted by his damaged mask, she super kicks him to knock him out in the end, but shatters his mask completely. Medusa then sets her eyes for Kaken. Now for you. Medusa always had some problems with Kaken because she was bullied by him when she was still Izuku Midoriya in the past, ever since learning he was quirkless. Kaken's quirk friends have also done the same thing in the past. But before we begin, everyone else will just get in the way. Medusa then throws her daggers like a boomerang in a fast, unseen speed, which knocks out all of the rest of US students and the pro teachers, except for All Might, who was fast enough and managed to avoid being hit by it. Oh, some who did avoid the daggers ending up collapsing due to the effects of the Blood Temple. I'm saving All Might for last. XXX. Medusa vs Kaken. Now just you me this time, Grenade Boy. Then I will focus on All Might next. Medusa shows her toxic smirk again, while holding her both nameless chain daggers ready duel Kaken. Although this will be the first time since she never had the chance to do as Izuku Midoriya. Bring it on, Snake Lady. Your move, Medusa tells Kaken to make the first move. Don't mind if I do, Medusa. Kaken throws every explosion quirk he has at Medusa, and she is engulfed by every explosion, leaving only smoke. Kaken smiled, thinking he has beaten Medusa. But when the smoke cleared, Medusa was still standing and unharmed by the explosion. What? That all you got, Grenade Boy? Kaken was going to strike again, but Medusa grabs him by the throat with her chains and pulls him toward him. Ever felt bitten by a vampire or some creature that bites like a vampire? Kaken's only response is nothing to her question, as Medusa then bites Kaken the neck like a vampire before he falls unconscious from the vampire bite. XXX. Now that's done with. Just you and me once more, All Might. Medusa set her eyes on All Might as she licks the blood from her lips. Dagaba Beach. All Might vs Medusa round 2. All Might and Medusa charge at each other and colliding each other's fist repeatedly without talking any damaged or injuries, like when he was battling the Namu, until they both pull away, and then Medusa charges at him first this time, but All Might evades her and lands a blow on her back, slamming her on the sand. But that doesn't stop her or keep her down. Medusa then super kicks him, making All Might skid on the sand. You can survive anything that hits you, isn't Medusa? Of course, my All Might. She answers while getting back on her feet without any problem. Still want to kill me gently, Medusa? All Might asked, remembering what she said before the first time they battled. You know my answer already to your question, my All Might. Medusa said that he already knows her answer to that question, while she does her fighting stance with her nameless chain daggers. Both combatants charge at each again, but by running at each other again and collided with each other again. But All Might had enough strength to push Medusa and pin her on the wall, and she drops both her chain daggers in the process. Medusa gets injured on impact, causing her blood to come out her mouth after getting pinned to the wall by All Might. Medusa grabs All Might by the head and bashes his head on the wall, and then dropkicks him, pushing him back and break free from the pin to the wall. Medusa attempts to reach for her chain daggers, but All Might counters and prevents her from retrieving them with an Alabama smash, which causes Medusa's blood that comes out from her mouth to splatter on All Might's face. But some of her blood went into his mouth, and he swallowed some of it. All Might backs up a bit until he started to see things in visions which came from Medusa's field of vision, and the next part looks somewhat familiar after seeing Inko Midoriya in it. These are actually memories that he is seeing, but doesn't know that yet until Medusa explains that to him on what he's seeing just now. What was that? All Might asked Medusa. What did he just see? You just swallowed some of my blood that splattered into your face. What you just seen is my memories of my original life, and then my current one. Medusa gave him her answer to that question on the memories he just saw. I think it's time you know why I idolize you, my All Might. Now this time Medusa will explain why she idolizes him just like Izuku Midoriya did in the other life she had in past before being killed by the sludge villain and then reborn from the void. XXX. Into the memories. All Might, who's being influences by Medusa's blood, makes love with her, and Medusa, without her blindfold herself, allows him to drink her blood to look in more of her memories. While the montage goes on, he sees more of Izuku Midoriya's memories, like the day he finds out he is quirkless, which left him saddened that cannot be a hero like his idol All Might, while his mother Inko comforts him. Next up, he watches Izuku get bullied by his hot-tempered friend Kaken for being quirkless. The final part of the memory montage is Izuku being killed by the sludge villain. Then he watches Izuku in the void until finally reincarnated or reborn as Medusa. XXX. Back to the Dagobah beach. You're Izuku Midoriya. All Might wakes up after seeing all that and making love with Medusa. Now you know my true identity, All Might, and the reason why I idolize you, Medusa said, laying next to him, and she put her blindfold back on to keep her mystic eyes in check and in control. Dagobah Beach. What did I just do? Did I actually made love with you, Medusa? You did, All Might, but you're only being influenced by my blood. It isn't like you wanted to do it in your own free will anyway, Medusa said to him and stands up, and then she dissolves the blood temple. I wasn't destined to be a hero like you, All Might. I just idolize you, and I choose to be a hero like you after seeing you in action many times in my old life as Izuku Midoriya. But the day I learned that I was quirkless, which means I cannot be a hero like you. I even asked my mother that question, which only made me sadden, and she was there to comfort me while my father Hisashi is away. Medusa tells him that she chose to be a hero like him as Izuku Midoriya, and it wasn't destiny that made his choice. Then she turns to Kaken, who was still unconscious. Ever since learning I was quirkless, my hot-tempered friend Katsuki Bakugu Aka Kaken and his boys bullied me for being quirkless and said that I can never be hero like you or anyone else. You're also saying even you are reincarnated into Medusa, and you got powers of your own now. You do not see yourself as a hero. All Might conclude the way Medusa behaves and fights is nothing like a hero behaves and fights their enemies. Correct, I am no hero, because I was given a different and new personality and life, although I still remember my original. I also have no intention on returning to my parents, because I seen myself unworthy to be their son or daughter now. It's also your choice whether you want to reveal my identity and who I was to everyone or not while trying to cope on what you did with me, even though you're just influenced by my blood. Oh, before we parted ways, these powers of mine, like the blood temple, they are not a quirk. They are known as noble phantasm. Then just like that, Medusa disappears without a trace. Notes. Similar way Medusa disappears after her brief battle with Shiro Emiya in Fate Stay Night Unlimited Bladeworks. XXX. Later 1. After Medusa left, every one of the Yua gang came to and sees All Might just sitting there, and Medusa is nowhere to be seen. All Might, what happened with Medusa? Aizawa asked what happened to Medusa while they were all knocked out. She's gone. But that's all I want to tell you. All Might made his choice not to tell them Medusa's true identity, and just keep it a secret for now, until he is ready to tell them that Izuku Midoriya has been with them this whole time and not dead. Hey All Might, why do you have a hickey in your neck? Mina Ashido Aka Pinky asked after noticing it, and the others wants to know where did he get that. Well, All Might cannot hide that from anyone, so he might as well tell them what happened between him and Medusa while they are all out. I kind of had sex with Medusa. I didn't choose or wanted to actually. I was being influenced by her blood after I swallowed some of it when some of it splattered in my face. But I was able to see her memories and where she came from. All Might reveals what happened between him and Medusa, also telling them he was only being influenced. You what? Midnight said with her eyes wide open as dinner plates. Even the others are the same. But to some girls who like romance snicker at this. XXX. Elsewhere in the city, Medusa is back in the tall building again during the night, and she is ready to sing another song for everyone to listen to. Like before she hacked all the channels from screens and radio stations. Time for another song, Medusa muttered as music plays and everyone is listening. I'm searching for answers. 'Cause something is not right. I follow the signs. I'm close to the fire. I fear that soon you'll reveal your dangerous mind. It's in your eyes, what's on your mind. I fear your smile and the promise inside. It's in your eyes, what's on your mind. I fear your presence, I'm frozen inside. I'm searching for answers, not questioned before. The curse of awareness. There's no peace of mind, as your true colors show. A dangerous sign. It's in your eyes, what's on your mind. I see the truth that you've buried inside. It's in your eyes, what's on your mind. There's no mercy, just anger I find. I just have to know, while I still have time. Do I have to run, or hide away from you? It's in your eyes, what's on your mind. I see the truth that you've buried inside. It's in your eyes, what's on your mind. There's no mercy, just anger I find. It's in your eyes, what's on your mind. I see the truth that you've buried inside. It's in your eyes, what's on your mind. There's no mercy, just anger I find. You are high. All Might has gathered everyone around because he needs to tell them some good news he has for them today. He will not think about Medusa and her new song this time, even though he heard it. Also, they cannot find her anywhere in Musutafu City, and plus, All Might still cannot bring himself to reveal that Medusa is actually Izuku Midoriya reincarnated. But he can't just hide it forever. In time, he will reveal it all, or Medusa reveal it herself. Okay, everyone, let's not talk about Medusa and her new song right now. I have some good news for everyone gathered here. We are going on a trip to I Island, because there's an expo going on there and every hero from around the world is invited. Are we allowed to bring our costumes with us? Certainly, young Todoroki, and you're allowed to use your quirks too. As long as you don't do any damage while we are there. Well, that's good news. But could we be expecting any trouble at all? Kyoka asked, because wherever a hero goes, trouble coming from a villain always seems to follow anyway, and can never give anyone some peace time or even a break. That's highly unlikely, Gyro, because not once before I Island ever had any trouble coming from villains, so don't worry about. All might actually become wrong about this, because it's not like villains cannot get past any security that gets in their way. Even if security are machines like robots, quirkless or quirk security guards. XXX. Unknown location elsewhere. Oh, now who wants to interrupt me during my rest time? After the song, Medusa relocated herself in this abandoned complex because she needed some rest after her time with All Might and her performing her new song to everyone. But now she gets interrupted by dudes with guns that look like G3 assault rifles who come in here for unknown reason. So she will investigate who are they and what are they are up to, because could be good for her taste. Looks like we have some kind of job, boys. The leader of the mercs is named Wolfram, and he tells his boys that they have a job for them. What do we got, boss? Well, Swordkill, our client on I Island, have hired us to help him steal a device he invented on the top of the tower where the helicopter pad is located. The second client said that the first one wanted fake villains for the job. But it looks like the second client wanted us real villains without alerting the first client that we are not fakes. So what we do now, boss? Well, Nabu, since we are also in league with All for One of the League of Villains, we'll play along with their pretenses, because in the end, we take the device and the one named David Shield for ourselves. This means Wolfram will play loose ends after it's finished. Medusa overhears all of their conversation and what they are planning, and Medusa smirks because she wants to travel to I Island and find that device herself, and hoping to see All Might again. Time to show myself to these mercs. Medusa proceeds to come out of her hiding spot from the shadows. Who's there? One of the mercs aimed their G3 assault rifles at the dark corner. Unfortunately for them, is they are killed when the chain daggers flew and struck them in the neck and in the head, killing them instantly. "Come out of the darkness and show yourself, whoever you are," Wolfram demanded, and then they all see a pair of glowing purple-like colored eyes, which means Medusa has taken off her blindfold, and this is what happens next. "Hey, what is going?" Deku yelled after seeing himself turning into stone alongside their fellow mercs, Wolfram, Swordkill, and Nabu. Nuo, Wolfram, and the others are turned to stone completely, and then Medusa picks up the fallen G3 assault rifle and shoots all of them to pieces, killing them all in the process. Medusa then picks up Wolfram's cell and answers the text, because the two clients will still think they are hiring the ones they want. But never knowing Medusa has killed the mercs they originally hired, and she has taken their place. "I Island, here I come," Medusa said with a toxic smirk on her face. "Still, I wonder what is so special about that device anyway. But I will find out eventually," Medusa said, looking forward on seeing that device herself. But it doesn't look like she attempts to keep it. She probably wants to destroy it. All Might's POV. In I Island is my old friend David Shield, who was also my sidekick during the time I have yet to announce as myself to the world. Several years ago in California, USA, me and David were able to stop two red and blue villains who robs a random casino. The police and two pro-heroes Electoplant and Cow Lady failed to stop them due to them endangering a family trapped in their car. Eventually, I showed up with David and saved the day, and then David introduced myself to the world as All Might and the symbol of peace to the world, and not just Musutafu City. Now in the present time, me and some of the UA students go to I Island because there is an expo going on there and heroes from all over the world are invited, and everybody is allowed to use their quirk there as long they don't do any damage along the way. Anyway, I did meet up with David's daughter named Melissa, who met up with me with her advanced pogo stick. And then she brings me to her father after our short talk. Melissa wanted to be a hero too, even though she is quirkless, but she is determined to do so anyway. Just like Izuku Midoriya once did before becoming Medusa. Everybody is busy doing whatever they want while the expo goes on. The last thing I wanted is to have Medusa or some other villain here to cause trouble for me and endanger all who is here on I Island. End of POV. I Island present time. All Might is with David in his lab, checking his vital signs of the injury he sustained from his previous battle with All for One. "Toshi, your quirk is dropping so drastically. Why has this happened?" David asked, feeling horrified on what his machine scanner have discovered. "It's probably from my last battle with All for One, which is the main reason why this happened to begin with. All Might can still remember where he got this problem that he is still having even now. He still hasn't showed this to Medusa yet, even during her time as Izuku Midoriya during the old days. Anyway, Toshi, are you still planning to attend the party tonight? I can still hold on to my muscle form as long as there is no trouble coming to I Island." But All Might is unaware that Medusa is already on the island preparing to cause trouble, which originally was for the mercs who was hired by the mysterious person in I Island. "Toshi, if the symbol of peace is lost, then all of crime can rise and run rampant in a new level." David told All Might what he is fearing if he loses the will to keep on being the symbol of peace and prevent crime from rising and going rampant even more. "I know, David. Still, the crime rate is at 6%, but will rise in a high rate if I disappear for good. But still, I assure you the symbol of peace is still alive, and he is standing right here." Then suddenly All Might started remembering what he did with Medusa due to the influence of her blood, but quickly he shakes it off his head. Well, that memory with her was a bad timing. "What's up, Toshi?" "Nothing, David. It's just that memory on what I did with Medusa appeared again. Although I was only being influenced by her blood after I swallowed it, when some of it splattered in my face when I made Medusa bleed. Hey, despite that we are seeing her as an enemy, Medusa's songs is very still good." David said that he likes her songs after listening to them. XXX. I Island Airport. From here trouble is coming, and it's Medusa herself who has hitched herself a ride on the passenger planes that was heading for I Island. Now she proceed with the target that she will be looking for. Okay, I know where my target and prey is located. On top of the tower where the helicopter pad is located. Medusa keeps walking without anyone noticing her. XXX. While Medusa stays out of sight, and she spots sight of Tenya, Shoto, and Kaken doing some courses with their quirk powers, while Momo, Ochako, Gyro, and Melissa watches them. As for Denki and Mainta, they are doing cafe work, and they wearing what cafe employees should be wearing. I'll pay no mind with the others who are here, Medusa muttered to herself as she continues toward the tower. I should have no problem dealing with All Might if I face him again, assuming he figures out what happens tonight will be my doing. Most likely Medusa wants them to know what's going to happen is really her doing. XXX. Nighttime. Okay, everybody knows what to do. Melissa prepared the invitations to the party that everybody has to meet at the party at 6:30 p.m. So everybody has to put on some fancy clothes to get ready for the party. Still, they have no idea that no one is going to enjoy the party because Medusa is going to start trouble. But they will know that she is behind this once she announces herself of her presences to everyone on I Island. Finally, Medusa has quickly made it to the helicopter pad in a quick pace, all thanks to her speed that made it look like she can fly. Now let's get this trouble started. Part 2. I Island Tower. Medusa reaches the tower, and she quickly defeats all of the security guards by ripping them apart with her chain daggers or breaking something in their bones that ultimately kills them. Next, she turns to where the device she is looking for that's located on one of the vaults, and she intends to smash it open, but she halts from doing so. She has something else in mind before she can do that. On second thought, I think I could have a little fun for myself before I can get my hands on that device and see what it is that makes it so important. Medusa then makes her way to the control room in order to set the security system, including the security bots, under her complete control. XXX. Meanwhile, see Uncle Might. Melissa using her iPad to show All Might all of her grades as she continues to study hard to be like all of the heroes, even though she is quirkless. Also, I made this full gauntlet, which can make the punches a 100% powerful for 3 smashes before it breaks completely and beyond repair. Melissa tells All Might what her new full gauntlet can do once in use before it becomes useless. That's good, Melissa. Anyway, I'll see you at the party. Will do, Uncle Might. After ending connection, Melissa goes to find herself a fancy dress to wear at the party. XXX. Elsewhere. Tenya, Shoto, Denki, and Mainta are ready alongside the ladies, but Kaken and Ijiro are not with them due to them leaving their cell phones behind and gotten lost on their way to the party. Well, they're the only ones alongside Melissa to make it to All Might's speech. Oh, and David is there too with his assistant Samuel. Well, everybody all except for young Bakugo and Red Riot, who hasn't shown up yet. I will begin my speech without them. But out of nowhere the power suddenly cuts, causing the lights to go offline and come back on again, and then causes a panic as the alarm rings across the entire island. Sorry to interrupt your speech, All Might. A familiar voice comes into the speakerphone, and everybody knows who's that talking on that speakerphone. Medusa. All Might shouted after knowing that was her voice on the speakerphone. Yes, All Might, it's me. If you're wondering how I got to I Island to begin with, I hitched a ride on one of the passenger planes that was heading for I Island, and nobody saw me because I stayed out of sight along the way to the central tower where the helicopter pad is. And I have full control of the security systems, and I have locked the central tower from the outside. And that means nobody is leaving this tower at all unless the lockdown is offline. Unless you all want to jump out of the windows and fall to your deaths, for those who don't have a quirk. Medusa then makes evil laugh before terminating the speakerphone. I'm right here. Medusa appears and barges into the party. All Might and the other heroes such as US students and pro heroes were going to attack her, but they halt when Medusa was about to remove her blindfold, And if they see her mystic eyes, they will all turn into stone in the process, because they already knew what Medusa's eyes can do when it contact with her eyes. That's it. You all don't want to risk getting turned into stone, can you? As long I'm in control of the security system and the robots. Everyone in I Island are my hostage. Medusa is threatening everyone. You can't do this, Medusa. Oh, but I already have all might. Medusa then restrains all of the pro heroes and UA students with her chains that's unbreakable, or is it? What is it you want, or what are you after, Medusa? Oh, but I want to save the part for later, All Might. Right now I have Kaken and Red Riot to deal with. Since they are lost, they are on their own against me. Medusa disappears from a sparkly light to Kaken's and Red Riot's location. Oh, my target is up at the tower where the helicopter pad is located. And that's what my client said to me. I'll be waiting there for you. Medusa said one last thing. What we do now, All Might, David said as he tries to free All Might. We have to stop Medusa no matter what. Disabling the security is also up in the tower where the helicopter pad is located. David said where to disable the security system that Medusa have hijacked is also at the same place too. XXX. With Kaken and Red Riot. When Kaken and Red Riot enter another floor, they got into battle position after seeing Medusa right in front of them. Glad you can make it. Medusa then attacks them in full speed without any hesitation, wasting any words or stalling, and not giving the both of them any chance of attack, as she rams them both, slamming into a metal wall, denting it. Man, that's smart, Kaken said as he and Red Riot picked themselves up. Yeah, now we retaliate. Both of them retaliates and throws everything they got at Medusa, but she is too fast for them to hit. That's until Medusa subdues them both with her chains. You're both way too slow for me. Then Medusa bashes both their heads so hard, knocking them both out in the end. Now for those boys and girls. Medusa sets her sights for Melissa, Momo, Minta, Shoto, Denki, and a few others with them who were trying to reach the helicopter pad to shut off the security system. XXX. I really had to climb up all the way to the helicopter pad. Elsewhere, since directed by All Might himself, Minta had to climb outside the tower to get to higher ground, while everybody deals with the security bots on the lower grounds. Eventually, thanks to Denki, he managed to defeat a large portion of the bots, thanks to 1.3 million volts. But in process, he short-circuits his brains out, leaving him unable to continue. Yay, Denki said, feeling short-circuited and with thumbs up. Nice one, Chargebolt. Medusa appears again with a laughing smile on her face. We got no time for this battle against Medusa, Momo said to them as she throws smoke bombs so they can distract Medusa if that can work. But Medusa managed to see through it and ambushed Momo by appearing in front her and makes a high-powered punch to her face. But Tenya uses his speed to knock Medusa to the ground, as everybody else make way for the helicopter pad. Grrrr, Medusa growled in anger. XXX. With All Might. There, I'm free, All Might said as he breaks free from Medusa's chains. Okay, let's get up to the helicopter pad and help the others, David said to him. Part 3. Melissa and the others continue up to the helicopter pad. But then suddenly Medusa appears out of nowhere again right in front of them. Oh no, Melissa said as Medusa restarts her attack once more, but everyone gets down, and then Shoto freezes Medusa in a block of ice. After that, she collides with a wall without breaking her ice block. That should buy us enough time to get to the helicopter pad, Shoto said, and they keep going, but for Medusa. She easily shatters the ice block, freeing herself. That didn't even hold me one bit. Medusa commented on how useless that ice block is on her. Well, it's back to the helicopter pad we go. Medusa disappears in sparkly light and returns to the helicopter pad, which the UA gang and Melissa are heading to. And things will be revealed now. Medusa is about reveal what's really going on exactly and her reason for being here. After all, some device is not so important to me anyway. Some things are better off getting destroyed to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. XXX. Helicopter pad. Well, everybody managed to regroup with All Might, David and Sam all the way up to the helicopter pad. But Medusa was already there waiting for them like she said she was previously. You have all arrived. Medusa then smashes one of the vaults open without injuring one of her hands, and then pulls out a white briefcase. Looking for this perhaps? Medusa then opens the briefcase, showing an invention that resembles a headset. This right here, everyone, is the quirk amplification device, and it can power up anyone's quirk more higher than anyone else and David's shield. You invented this to help All Might because of his condition caused by his injuries that he sustained from his battle, all for one that's causing his powers to fade away, and you vow to prevent that from ever happening. Unfortunately, the sponsors took this from you due to the fear on what will happen if something this powerfully falls into enemy hands or cause something for worse than crime. Everybody, including All Might, stared at David after Medusa blurted that out. Although David and Sam have no idea how did Medusa get this information anyway. Also, since that you and Sam actually hired villains who you believed are faked villains. In secret, Sam was actually hiring actual quirk villains behind your back. Except I killed those villains and took their place after I overheard what they were planning. Before Medusa can say anything else, she uses her chains to grab Sam and pulls him toward her. As what I saying, Sam was hiring a quirk villain named Wolfram and his mercs behind your back, David. Because unlike you, who's all about saving All Might, money is everything to Sam, right? Medusa asks Sam a question while threatening to strangle him to death if he doesn't answer the question that she's asking him right now. David turned his back on me when we never got paid for working so hard. Sam answered the question, but Medusa's only sign to his answer is a look of disgust on her face, because Sam only cares about money like a greedy man, and nothing to do with saving All Might from his fading quirk. How typical for a greedy man like you, Sam, because money is only for greedy men like you. Medusa then violently executes Sam in disgust by stabbing him right in the heart, much to everyone's shock and horror. Medusa, no. All Might tells her no, but too late. Sam is dead, and Medusa throws Sam's dead body outside the helicopter pad, falling in great heights. That was a mistake, Medusa, David said, and with everyone looking at her with disgust for killing Sam. Although they are also disgusted by Sam's greedy intention that had nothing to do with saving All Might's fading quirk. But they believe that Sam should be brought to justice for being greedy rather than death. Well, you're also a mistake too, David. Medusa then pulls out the quirk amplification device from the briefcase and does this while it's in her hands. Crushed. She destroys it by crushing it with her hands. Even that left her without any injuries to her hands. Whoa, both Denki and Minta said after seeing what Medusa did. You're worried about crime rising in a high rate if All Might's powers disappeared. And maybe for good. There are plenty of other heroes who can step up and take his place if something like that ever happens, whenever that is, Medusa mentions. But even though she would have been that other hero, well as Izuku Midoriya. But it never happened. Huh. But Medusa then gets cut off when All Might using Melissa's full gauntlet punches Medusa. And then she disappears in a bright light, like if she got vaporized by that single high-powered punch. Whoa, did she get vaporized? Gyro wonders because everybody saw Medusa disappeared in a bright white light. No idea, Gyro. Momo answer because they have no idea what happened to Medusa. David, is it true what Medusa said? Yes, it was Toshi. But I never imagined Sam would go behind my back just for money. David admits it all. But he can never imagine Sam doing this behind his back for money. Epilogue. All Might's path. Medusa is presumed dead after getting vaporized by me when I use Melissa's full gauntlet. If this is really true, then I already killed Izuku Midoriya. But I'm still not revealing to everyone or the Midoriya family that Medusa is Izuku Midoriya reincarnated all along. Even I'm still doubting that Medusa is destroyed because of how powerful she is. Medusa can't be destroyed that easily. Also, David accepted that any other hero can take my place in case my quirk fades away completely, which can lead to my retirement in the end. In the meantime, we all get to spend one last moment here in I Island before it's time for us to return home to Musutafu City. And surely no villain will have come to harm I Island again. Well, David told the press about he has done and what Sam did behind his back. Even told them that Medusa killed Sam in disgust for being greedy. End of POF. I Island present time. Well, we all get to spend one last moment of fun in I Island, while it lasts before we can home, Momo said, while with her friends, Gyro and Uraraka. They also watched Denki and Mainta do the cafe work again for the final moment. Yeah, and we all hope Medusa is finally gone, Gyro said, until suddenly a music plays all across I Island. Is that music playing? Uraraka asked, and eventually a familiar voice whose singing it is heard. No, it can't be, Momo said after they recognized that voice. Sparkling Angel, I believe. You are my savior in my time of need. Blinded by faith, I couldn't hear. All the whispers, the warnings so clear. I see the angels. I'll lead them to your door. There's no escape now. No mercy no more. No remorse 'cause I still remember. The smile when you tore me apart. You took my heart. Deceived me right from the start. You showed me dreams. I wish they'd turn into real. You broke the promise. And made me realize. It was all just a lie, just a lie. Sparkling Angel, I couldn't see. Your dark intentions, your feelings for me. Fallen Angel, tell me why. What is the reason? The thorn in your eye. I see the angels. I'll lead them to your door. There's no escape now. No mercy no more. No remorse 'cause I still remember. The smile when you tore me apart. You took my heart. Deceived me right from the start. You showed me dreams. I wish they'd turn into real. You broke the promise. And made me realize. It was all just a lie. Could have been forever. Now we have reached the end. This world may have failed you. It doesn't give the reason why. You could have chosen a different path in life. The smile when you tore me apart. You took my heart. Deceived me right from the start. You showed me dreams. I wished they'd turn into real. You broke a promise. And made me realize. It was all just a lie. Could have been forever. Now we have reached the end. After the song. Ah, All Might that voice. Is that who we believe it is? Yes, Melissa, it is. Medusa survived her presumed demise. All Might could also sense that everybody outside are shocked in fear and surprise, after now knowing that Medusa is really still alive and somewhat survived being vaporized. Izuku Midoriya, now as Medusa is really embracing the darkness within her now. All Might thought to himself as Medusa's evil laugh is heard all across I Island. But Medusa might not stay in the darkness for long, because she might go to the light when she done with the dark. XXX. In one of the tall buildings on I Island, there was Medusa without her blindfold, and showing her glowing purple eyes with another toxic smirk on her face. Plus, she will returning to Musutafu City too. All Might's POV. We are home in Musutafu City now. We haven't seen Medusa yet ever since she announced herself that she is still alive with her songs. I'm pretty sure she will come around soon, and I highly doubt that there's even a Izuku Midoriya in her anymore. I better hurry up and try to bring myself and tell everyone that Medusa is Izuku Midoriya reincarnated soon, because I can't just keep everyone in the dark about that information. End of POV. Yua High present time. Well, is good to be back home in good old Musutafu City, Denki said, walking with his friend Mainta to class. Don't forget about Yua High, as we are all on the way to be pro heroes, just like All Might and the others. Yeah, that too. I just hope Medusa can give us a break from the battles with her for now. We all do hope she gives us a break. Gyro suddenly appears behind them. Because if she can't give us a break, we are going to get very tired from defending everyone, including ourselves, from every kind of villain and her too. It could happen if Medusa doesn't let them catch a break for once. We hope you're right, Gyro, Denki said as they opened the door to their classroom. But they weren't expecting someone to be there waiting for them. XXX. Classroom. Ah, oh. They all saw Medusa sitting on the desk of Aizawa and was waiting for them. Miss me? Medusa asked, taunting them. If they miss her plus, they all noticed that she looked so unharmed after she believed to have been vaporized by All Might using Melissa's full gauntlet. You look so unharmed, Medusa, Minta said to her, and Medusa will happily tell them. Oh, it did hurt when All Might hit me with the full gauntlet. Medusa tells them she did felt the pain when All Might hit her. Then why are you even here then, Medusa? Gyro asked, while ready for battle in case Medusa is going to strike first. Just to cause more trouble for All Might. That's all, earphone Jack. Medusa said. She pulls out both her chain daggers, itching for another fight. Gyro attacks first by sticking both of her earphone jacks in Medusa's ears, stunning her with the loud noises, but Medusa counters by throwing her daggers at Gyro, which she avoids with Denki and Minta. You all ask for it, and I ask for it. Now it's on. Medusa charges in full speed. And that loud noise didn't even faze me. XXX. Outside. Medusa is here, All Might said as the alarm rings all over Yua High, warning everyone that danger coming from Medusa is here and a hole from the roof is blown. Let's go inside and stop her, All Might said as he, Midnight, and Aizawa gets inside to help the others. XXX. Back inside. Medusa attacks and is in battle with Gyro, Denki, and Minta as the four combatants completely trash the classroom in the process. Medusa allows herself to get damaged by all of attacks that Gyro, Denki, and Minta throws at her. But she's always asking for more as Denki whacks her with a chair right on her back, which also did inflict some damage on her. Keep it coming, Medusa shouted while laughing like a maniac, while looking very battered and bruised. Medusa, you're completely battered and bruised, which was caused by the three of us. Gyro warns her after taking a good look at her entire body, even her clothes too, that looks so very damaged, and yet Medusa can still keep herself on her feet, and she still keeps that toxic smirk on her face. And you look fried from my electric quirk, Denki said, while avoiding being tripped by her chains. If you keep on fighting, while getting damaged even more, you can collapse at any moment. Minta warns her, because all three of them can notice Medusa looks wobbly, like if she is in the brink of collapsing after taking all that damage. Then let it happen, because if I really do, then I'm really down. Medusa still wants to keep on going despite her critical state. Denki fires another barrage of electricity on Medusa, and Gyro hits her with her earphone jacks and Minta with his grapes. This in turn caused Medusa to halt. Yet Medusa still managed to stay on her feet. After all that, she is still on her feet, Minta said, complimenting on how much damage can Medusa absorb and still stay on her feet. Oh yeah. She's tough enough to stay on her feet despite her critical state, Gyro said last. But in the end, Medusa collapsed face first as she finally reached her limit, which ends the fight. And she is down, Denki said after they all see Medusa collapse on the floor. I guess she has finally reached her limit, Minta said as they move Medusa on her back and separate her from chain daggers. Well, we all know we view her as an enemy, but All Might told us before he and her made love to the influence of Medusa's blood. Gyro reminded everyone on what happened between All Might and Medusa. We all know about that already, Gyro, Denki said as All Might, Midnight, and Aizawa arrives at the trash classroom. Are you all okay? All Might asked them. Yes, we are All Might, Minta answered, while Denki and Gyro only nodded their heads as a yes to answer All Might. Okay, good. Now what happened to Medusa? All Might asked after noticing Medusa's entire body looking battered, bruised, and fried too. Oh, when we were battling her, she allowed herself to get hit with everything we got, and yet she still managed to stay on her feet despite all that damage we inflicted in her, leaving her in a very critical state. Well, she collapsed after reaching her limit. Okay, maybe it's time I tell you all about Medusa's true identity, but I need everyone gathered because they all need to hear this. All Might finally decides to tell everyone who Medusa is now that he is done keeping everyone in the dark ever since discovering who Medusa was after accidentally drinking her blood when it splattered in his face. Will that include the Midoriya family? Certainly midnight. Yua High. Okay, everybody, including the Midoriya family, are gather outside now that All Might will reveal Medusa's true identity. This time, which means no more secrets this time. Where Medusa is right now is in the nurse's office, recovering after her battle with Gyro, Denki, and Mainta that left her completely battered and bruised. Also, since some friends like David and Melissa Shield aren't here, they are using an iPad to listen to this. There are reporters from the media listening to this too, and All Might allows them in. Okay, All Might, we are all here. Now are you going to tell us who is Medusa? Aizawa said while everybody nodded their heads, as in they really want to know who Medusa really is from All Might. I will tell you all now, and please try to hold up with your freak out and surprise, will ya? We will try, All Might. Momo said they will try. Okay then. XXX. Remember when I said that I was able to see Medusa's memories? I only saw her memories because I unexpectedly swallowed some of her blood, when some of it splattered in my face, and due to the influence of it, I made love with Medusa, and at the same time I saw Izuku Midoriya in Medusa's memories too. But that was not the case, like if Medusa have met young Izuku Midoriya sometime before the sludge villain killed him. Meaning All Might? Kakin asked, what's that mean? Medusa is really Izuku Midoriya reincarnated. Everyone including Izuku's family had their eyes open as dinner plates after hearing the revelation that Medusa is really Izuku Midoriya reincarnated into the new person. Inko, on the other hand, has tears on her eyes, while her husband comforts her. As for Kaken, still remembering the vampire bite that she has given and inflicted into him. But then he imagines it was Deku who did it instead of Medusa. It seems that when Izuku died, he was sent into some kind of void, and he was given another chance to live on. I know what he was given is being reincarnated into Medusa, but based on her behavior like a villain. It's because she was given a new personality, although she still remembers her original personality when she was still Izuku Midoriya. All Might tells everyone the next part about Medusa. Not only that Izuku was given a new body, gender, and appearance, even a new personality too. So that's why she is behaving like a villain due to the new personality. Gyro said, now knowing why Medusa is behaving like a villain during the others' time they fought against her. That's not all. Those powers of hers isn't a quirk. It's called Noble Phantasm. All Might reveal what her powers is, and it's called Noble Phantasm. And believe me, her Noble Phantasm can be very dangerous when she uses it against anyone she battles. Well, most of them already experience one of them, like the Blood Fort Andromeda or Blood Temple. Also behind that blindfold of Medusa is really another one of her powers that isn't quirk. If she takes off and open her eyes, her mystic eyes of petrification is activate, and everyone who is caught in it will be turned into stone. Medusa already used it against Wolfram and his mercs before the adventure in I Island. They haven't seen the other noble phantasm that Medusa has in her disposal yet, but she will get to use it when she needs it. XXX. Nurse's office. Medusa, who's fully awake, overhears the entire thing and stands up from the bed, now that she is fully healed from her battered and bruised body that's all gone. So All Might and everybody, what now? XXX. League of Villains Lair, unknown location. Midoriya? The boy who the sludge villain killed. All for one who watching the news also knows of the news of Izuku Midoriya's death at the hands by the sludge villain. But he also knows that Medusa is really Izuku Midoriya now. After the truth is finally out, Medusa herself is back in the Midoriya apartment or home and back with the Midoriya family. Every official and police in Musutafu City then put Izuku Midoriya's status to reincarnated instead of dead and put Medusa in the record now. All Might and the pro heroes offered Medusa a place in Yua High if she wanted to be a proper hero like Izuku Midoriya would have wanted in the past. Medusa accepts the offer, but she said she will rarely take any courses due to how good she is now with her newfound powers as well as the noble phantasm she has with her. What Medusa planning to do is find the sludge villain and take revenge for what he did to her past self. But she will do it in secret because some might object with it. She found out the sludge villain was taken to Tartarus prison after being arrested while she was away in the void. Where it all began, it shall end now, Medusa muttered, holding her chain daggers as she heads for Tartarus prison. Tartarus prison. So this is Tartarus prison for the most dangerous super quirk villains who live in Musutafu City. Well, I'm going to have to subdue everyone so I can find the sludge villain, and then I kill him next. Medusa used her speed to reach and enter Tartarus prison without alerting the guards outside. XXX. Tartarus prison inside. Many of the quirk villain inmates' prison cells are an energy barrier which no quirk can even break through at all. Eventually, a loud crash was heard from a large closed door. All of the inmates are wondering if that is a break-in at all, and they would all be free, but it's not what they think actually. The door crashes open with a single super kick and Medusa walks in, and many of the inmates are smiling thinking she is here to break them out. But Medusa only walks past them all and ignore them. In case you're all wondering, I'm not here to break you all out. I'm actually here for the sludge villain after all, in case you all heard or not. I was once Izuku Midoriya who died at the hands of that sludge villain, and now I'm reincarnated as Medusa now. You're going to nail that sludge as revenge, are you? One of the inmates deduce what Medusa is going to do after she comes face to face with the sludge villain again. That's correct, and everyone would say this to me as, well, good luck with that, Medusa. Medusa is done talking with the inmates and goes off to find the sludge villain in one of the cells. Medusa didn't bother to try using the security cameras to look for him because she prefers that she tries looking for him without it. And she destroyed them all so no one will know of her presence. Also, all of the guards are knocked out in a quick pace by her without anyone noticing. XXX. Medusa looks on every cell until she finally found the sludge she's been looking for. Finally, Medusa kicks open the lock, disabling the energy shield and allowing the sludge villain to come on out. I overheard all that you know, Medusa, or should I say Izuku Midoriya, the sludge villain said, and Medusa only gives him a sadistic smile on her face as she pulls out her chain daggers. I may have died at your slimy hands, but this time it's gonna be different now. Not like before. The two combatants attack each other, but Medusa has the upper hand thanks to her super speed. Medusa lands some damaging blows with her chain daggers on the sludge villain, who is unable to land a hit in her. Oh, quit moving around so I can hit you already. The sludge villain shouted, getting annoyed that he is unable to land any blows to Medusa, who keeps pounding him with her chain daggers, fists and kicks all the way. Oh, not a chance, sludge. Medusa taunts him and sends a high-powered kick, sending him flying and colliding into a wall, denting. My powers isn't a quirk, in case you didn't know about that. Plus, my powers makes me resistant from you sucking me into your sludge body. Well then, let's finish this little fight of mine. Medusa then reaches for her blindfold and removes it. Then she makes him look into her purple glowing eyes, causing him to turn into a statue. Goodbye, sludge villain, and this time, mean it. Medusa then stabs both her chain daggers into the sludge villain's head, shattering the statue into pieces and killing him for good. XXX. Midoriya apartment. Medusa is back home, watching the news about the incident that was actually caused by her in Tartarus prison. But nobody knows she has done all that due to security cameras all destroyed. The guards all knocked out, and the inmates will not say anything at all, or even say anything that it was her the whole time. U.S. Sports Festival. A sports festival is on, and lots of pro heroes are here to attend it alongside many of civilians. But all of the pros keep watch in case of any sign of trouble that might stomp their way into it and cause some chaos. Medusa herself attends it too, and she kindly gives anyone who wants an autograph or photos of her anyway. She even tells her past self as Izuku Midoriya, and how did the former Izuku Midoriya have been reincarnated as Medusa? The last part she tells them is that her powers isn't a quirk. It's called noble phantasm, and it's far different from quirks and can be more powerful than anyone's quirk. Wow, that's amazing, Medusa. Thanks, everyone. Now you all know my story. Medusa tells to the fans who likes her. But she never told them what she did to the sludge villain anyway. Speaking of that, I cannot remove my blindfold or something bad is going to happen if I do. Then everyone who looks at me in the eye will be turned into stone. Medusa tells them what will happen if she removes her blindfold. But you can really see where you're going and what you're looking at, right? Yes, I do. Medusa said she knows what she is doing and know where she is going even in blindfolded until All Might approaches them. Sorry to interrupt, but I need to speak with Medusa alone in private. All Might says that he wants to talk with Medusa alone in private, and everyone leaves the two alone for a while. Nice to see you again, Medusa. Always a pleasure to see you too, Toshinori Yagi. Surprisingly, Medusa just called him by his real name. That was quite a surprise that you called me by my real name. Because I already know who your real name is now, Toshi, Medusa said to him, because in the past, she was doing a lot of snooping around. You know, Medusa, you should already know I was once quirkless just like you when you were still Izuku Midoriya. Medusa looks at him in a confused way. It's true that I was once quirkless just like you. That's until I met my mentor Nana Shimura, who was the previous user of One for All. There are other previous users of One for All before Nana Shimura. That smile that everybody sees me all the time with is something I got from her. She says that the ones who are always smiling are the ones who are the strongest. Let me guess, if you're the new user of One for All, Nana Shimura died fighting an enemy, am I right? All for One, who was the leader of the League of Villains, is behind her death, Medusa. All Might told her who is responsible for Nana Shimura's death. What he didn't know is her grandson Tenko Shimura, who is known as Tamura Shigaraki, is part of the League of Villains, now after he was found by All for One. Oh, and Medusa, I'm still remembering the part where we made love with each other. All Might tells her about the part where they made love. Hey, it's not like you wanted to do that on purpose or willingly. You were being influenced by my blood, you know. Medusa tells the only reason why that happened is because he was being influenced by her blood while he was poking him in the head 7 times. Lastly, you needed to see my past and who I was before I became Medusa. Yeah, I know, and I did see it all. Also, David Shield was my sidekick when I introduced myself to the world long after Nana Shimura passed on One for All to me. Where did I introduce myself was in California, USA, where I defeat a red and blue villains. All Might tells Medusa another tale of his past, where he first introduced himself to the world during the time David Shield was his sidekick. It must have been fun that David Shield had to be your sidekick, right? Yes, it was, Medusa. Besides, have you ever had any friends who won't bother you anymore like your young Bakugo because you were quirkless? All Might wonders if Medusa made fast friends with those who are nothing like Kekken, Uraraka, Momo, Gyro, Shoto, including Mainta and Denki, and many more. Yeah. Yes, Medusa did make fast friends already with some in UA. That's good to know, Medusa. But don't you have another song for the people in the UA festival? I do, and I'm just about to enter the stage now. Medusa stands up where the audience is. Pros and UI students are waiting for her because she has another song to sing, and puts an earpieces on and music starts playing. XXX. Determined by your faith. You attempt to make up. You lay out your case. Like the enemy. But all that you got. Through dirty white lies. You'll find the damn correct way of blaming me for your crimes. Won't you talk to me? Don't walk or run away. I'm on to you, yesterday. With empty eyes. I don't know where I'm going. In search for answers. I don't know who I'm fighting. I stand with empty eyes. You're like the ghost within me, who's draining my life. It's like my soul is see-through. Right through my empty eyes. Right through my empty eyes. I'm about to give in. I got nowhere to go. Afraid of the sins. I'm holding on. There's no other way. No doubt in the end. But I ain't got a thing to lose. Nothing to defend. Won't you talk to me? Don't walk or run away. I'm on to you. Yesterday. With empty eyes. I don't know where I'm going. In search for answers. I don't know who I'm fighting. I stand with empty eyes. You're like the ghost within me, who's draining my life. It's like my soul is see-through, right through my empty eyes. Ooh, please, won't you give in to me? Would you finally speak truthfully? Determined by your faith. You attempt to make up. You lay out your case. Like the enemy. Like the enemy. With empty eyes. I don't know where I'm going. In search for answers. I don't know who I'm fighting. I stand with empty eyes. You're like the ghost within me, who's draining my life. It's like my soul is see-through. Right through my empty eyes. Right through my empty eyes. End of song. XXX. The audiences, pros and UA students cheered because they really like Medusa's performances. All right, Medusa, Denki cheered with his buddy Minta. She is very good, Gyro commented, and sure she really likes rock songs as well. Rooftops of Musutafu City. Medusa is alone again in the night times on the rooftops of Musutafu City, enjoying her view of the city from the rooftops. A beautiful view of the city, Medusa commented to herself with a smile on her face. Medusa's smile then fades when she senses someone is about to slice her from behind her, and she quickly rolls out of way to the right, in order for her to avoid being slashed by whoever the intruder who attempts to slash her from behind is. Slash. XXX. Medusa pulls out her chain daggers and ready for battle. But to her surprise, she recognizes who the intruder who actually tried to slash at her is. Chisholm Akaguro Akastain, the hero killer. Medusa identified who he is. Well, looks like you already know who I am. Medusa, who was the former Izuku Midoriya. Stain talks next with his own killer smile on his face that's covered in bandages. Oh, I know you because I watch the news and read the papers. Stain explains how he knows about Medusa, and knowing she was once Izuku Midoriya in the past. The same with me, Stain. Medusa also saw the news and read the papers too. Except it's all about Stain. So what do I own the pleasure? You know I've been always making attacks on heroes who I view as fakes. Stain reminded her of what he has been doing many times. Then why confront me now? I want to see if you're anything like those fakes, or maybe you're nothing like them at all. There's Stain's reason why he confronted Medusa for. Because he wanted to see if she is anything like the fakes, or she could be true hero at all. Well, then let's see and find out along the way, shall we? Medusa suggests they battle and find out for themselves. XXX. Medusa versus Chisholm Akagurastain. Both combatants charge at each other, but Stain goes into defensive with his katana sword, because Medusa is faster than him, and starting hitting him various times like a pinball. Stain slash, but missed because Medusa moves back and Medusa high kicks him in the gut, then sending him flying and slamming into a wall and denting it. You're fighting me seriously, aren't you? Because the high kick really hurts, Stain wonders. And you know I am Stain, Medusa said with a toxic smile on her face. Next, Medusa and Stain resume battle, and sparks from each strike of their blades can be seen if someone else is on the rooftops too, or can see it from a window depending on how high up they from their building. It's like a sword fight. Medusa then grabs Stain by both wrists and then suplex him, denting the roof floor. Stain gets back and repeated tries to slash Medusa with his katana, but no avail due to her speed, and Medusa easily strikes him in the gut with her chain daggers and shedding blood from him. Medusa then knees him in the gut, causing him to drop his katana sword, and she repeatedly stabs him with his chain daggers before coming to a stop as a badly wounded and bleeding Stain collapses on his knees, bleeding on the ground. That's interesting. Maybe you are really a true hero unlike those fakes. Stain is now viewing Medusa as a true hero, and certainly not a fake base outcome of their battle. Nice of you to see me that way, Stain. Medusa then whips him in the face with her long violet hair that totally leaves a mark on his bandaged face, and she finishes him off by stabbing him right in the head with her chain dagger, killing him in the process. XXX. After the battle. Was that supposed to be necessary? Medusa turns to see who said that to her. Oh, it's you, Shoto. Yeah, it was necessary because you already know how dangerous Stain is. I know. But can you be a little moral next time? Shoto asks if Medusa can be a little moral the next time she fights a villain. It will depend on my mood, Shoto. What kind of answer is that, Medusa? Musutafu City rooftops. Hey Shoto, I wanted to ask you something. What is it, Medusa? Where did you get that burn mark on your face? You never told anybody how did you get it. But I believe it's time you tell me what really happened, and how did it happen? Medusa gives him enough convincing to tell her what actually caused the burn to his face, and how did it all happen. Fine, I'll tell you what actually happened to my face. XXX. Tell time. You already know All Might is in number 1, right, Medusa? Medusa nodded her head as a yes, she already knows that. In number 2 is my father Inji Todoroki Aka Endeavor. Despite the popularity by fans, I know he isn't what everybody thinks he is. Not what we think he is. What he is trying to reach is to be number 1 after All Might's time is over. For the record, his marriage with my mom is really a loveless marriage, because he only wanted her quirk to create a strong heir that can surpass All Might. It didn't work out with my other sibling Toya, who grew fed up with him, which led to his disappearances. But unknown to him, Toya is now known as Dabai, and he is now part of the League of Villains. What my dad has been doing each time he tries to get me to be a strong heir to surpass All Might is he using abusive training methods, and each time my mom comes to my defense, he would abuse her too, like smacking her in the face. When I approached my mom while she was talking on the phone, she finally snapped and poured boiling water on my face, which led me to get this burn mark that never goes away. It was because she couldn't take it anymore, and all she sees in me is my dad, whom I despise for the evil stuff he has done just to reach number 1 after All Might's time is over. What Medusa heard from Shoto about how did he get that burn mark on his face disturbs her. After that incident, my mom was put into the hospital in order to control her mental problems, and I would go there and visit her most of the times. I also choose to use my ice quirk, and never my fire quirk due to my hatred toward my dad for what he did to me, my mom, and to Toya. Shoto shows his anger and hatred in front of Medusa, and she understands how much he despises his father for what he has done just to reach number 1. Is there anything else he is doing aside just from being a bad hero and abusing you? He also looking out for a very strong girl that he would choose to be my bride-to-be, which I would never agree to, because I'm not going to see a girl forced into this. I'm very sorry to hear that, Shoto. It's all right, Medusa. If you see my dad, do me and yourself a favor. Don't trust him. Sports Festival Stadium. Today, there is a match for everyone to watch. It's Medusa vs Shoto Todoroki, and everyone is very excited to watch this. But everyone knows Medusa's powers isn't a quirk, but a noble phantasm, and they really want to see her put that to use this time. Shoto himself will only be using his mother's ice quirk, which he's always been doing, and never the fire quirk due to his hatred toward his father for what he did to him and to her just to reach number 1 once All Might's time is over. Anyway, Shoto already got to the ring, and he, including the audiences, are just waiting for Medusa right now to show up. But Medusa is confronted by number 2, Inji Todoroki Aka Endeavor, who is the father of Shoto, whom he despises a lot. Medusa only glares at him from behind her blindfold. Hello, Endeavor. Medusa pretends to kindly greet him. So Medusa, you were the former Izuku Midori, you're right. I thought you already knew that. Then you didn't have to ask me that. Just want to confirm again, that's all, Medusa. So why confront me this time and now? I believe you're the perfect woman for my son Shoto's bride-to-be. What Endeavor just said caused Medusa to become surprised, because she wasn't expecting this from him. How can he just pick me to be Shoto's bride-to-be just like that? He wasn't even there to see me in action when I easily overpowered All Might and everyone else. Medusa wonders to herself in a way she doesn't agree on becoming Shoto's bride-to-be, which was arranged by Endeavor. Plus, how can he do that when he wasn't even there to see Medusa in action against All Might and everybody else? Especially the part where she and All Might made love when he was being influenced by her blood. We'll see, assuming Shoto will agree with this. Medusa gives him a warning and Shoto will never agree with this before she heads for the ring. Oh, for the record, Medusa, I did see what you did to All Might and the others thanks to recorded fights you had with him and the others. So I view you powerful, and that's why I consider you Shoto's perfect bride-to-be. Endeavor revealed that he watched the recorded fights of Medusa against All Might and the others even though he wasn't even there to fight Medusa in the first place. I also asked Shoto to use his fire quirk, but he didn't make a response when I asked him that. But I always tell him to use his fire quirk and not his ice quirk that belonged to his mother. All I've been doing is training him to be a strong heir in order to surpass All Might. Medusa gritted her teeth in anger after hearing all that coming from Endeavor's mouth because that wasn't training. It's abuse, and this made Ray snap when she couldn't take it anymore. It also led to that burn mark on Shoto's face too. Unknown to Endeavor, Shoto has been listening to the entire conversation because in secret Medusa gave him an earpiece knowing that she might get confronted by Endeavor himself, and she wants him to listen to this. Bastard, Shoto whispered in anger. XXX. Ring. Medusa finally makes it to the ring where Shoto is waiting for her, and the audience's cheers as the match is ready to begin. Shoto made hand signs to Medusa, which means he heard everything from his earpiece. Okay, audiences, it's time to introduce the combatants of today's match. First off is Shoto Todoroki, whose quirk is fire and ice, and on the other side is Medusa, who was the former Izuku Midoriya, and her powers isn't a quirk. It's known as Noble Phantasm, and she has more than one. Present Mike makes his loud announcement like he always do, and the audiences cheered plus Endeavor sits among them too, to watch the match. Medusa. I would never agree to what my dad arranged to the both of us. I win. I save you from that, Shoto said to her, ready to fight. Just give it your best shot, Shoto. Besides, I do not agree with this either, Medusa said, pulling her chain daggers out ready for the fight. Let the match begin. XXX. Battle time. Medusa makes the first move by charging at Shoto in full speed. Shoto creates an ice wall, but much to his and everyone's surprises, Medusa easily smashes through it in a kamikaze style, and without taking any injuries or damage from that. Whoa, did you all see that? Medusa easily broke through Todoroki's ice wall without taking any injuries or damage from that. Oh my, that's very interesting. Ochako felt surprised to see what just happened. Ribbit. Medusa is that strong. I figure any wall cannot stop Medusa. That might be true, Asui. She can just smash through obstacles in her way, Momo said to her. Oh, you're very different, and you are so strong. All Might commented on how strong Medusa is and how different she is from Izuku Midoriya. Back on the ring, Shoto stays in defense while trying to spike Medusa with ice spikes coming from the ground, but Medusa keeps avoiding them each time one of them bursts from the ground. Medusa lunges at him with her chains, but Shoto evades them both, but nearly gets hit an inch to the face by the chains. Once again, Shoto shoots more ice attacks at Medusa, and this time freezes her in an ice block. Shoto smiled, thinking he has won. Unfortunately, Medusa shattered the ice block, freeing herself. Oh my. First, Todoroki managed to freeze Medusa in a block of ice, but then she managed to break free from it. The fights resumes and Medusa started to notice something's happening with Shoto. It looks like frost bites. This gave Medusa the reason to tell Shoto to switch to his fire quirk now. But first he rams Shoto and pins him to the floor with her on top of him. Shoto, you need to switch to your fire quirk now. You're using your ice quirk too much already, and it's causing damage to you. I'm not going to do that, Medusa. I will not be like him. Those two quirks may come from your parents, but they are your own too. Use them both under your own free will, not to what your dad says. Medusa tells Shoto to just use his quirks with his own free will and not listen to what Endeavor says. Shoto kicks Medusa off him, and he ignites his flames. Well, that sets him off now, Medusa said as she readies herself to wrap this up. Shoto is using his fire quirk, everyone. Present Mike announces. Yes, Shoto, now you embrace your fire quirk, Endeavor said, which annoys both Shoto and Medusa. What happens next is, Medusa removes her blindfold and calls out, Bellerophon. Medusa summons her Pegasus horse. Medusa just summoned a Pegasus horse. That must be another noble phantasm. It's beautiful, Mina commented, liking Medusa's Pegasus horse. Next, Medusa gets on her Pegasus and rides up in the skies and comes down towards Shoto to perform another kamikaze on him. Shoto used his fire quirk to counter, but it was no use, and Medusa with her Pegasus collides with him, creating a bright light, which everyone shields their eyes from the bright light. XXX. When the light finally settles, everyone sees Medusa to be the one standing and Shoto is on the ground, and he is not getting up anymore. But Medusa still checks him to see if he is okay. You're fine, Shoto. Medusa touches his face, showing he is okay, and then lays him on her lap. Why did you have to tell me use my fire quirk like that after what my dad did to me and my mom? You forget that fire also gives life thanks to the sun, Shoto. You can rest for now. Medusa tells Shoto what else fire can do, and then Shoto closes his eyes to rest for now. Previously, after the Medusa vs. Shoto Todoroki match was concluded and Medusa is declared the victor, she said to Shoto she will be visiting Rei Todoroki so she can speak with her while he recovers from his battle with Medusa. They choose to just ignore everything Endeavor says, and she whispers to Shoto that someday she will expose Endeavor's wrongdoings, and once that is exposed, what happens to him will be decided by others. Hospital, present time. Medusa enters the hospital and asks the receptionists to know where Rei Todoroki is, and she was given the number of the room. Well, let's see how Rei Todoroki is doing. I hope she is doing well after being here for a very long time. XXX. Rei Todoroki's hospital room. Rei is sitting in bed looking out the window until she hears a knocking outside her room. Rei turns to see who it is. Oh, it's you, Medusa. Rei somehow recognizes who Medusa is. You watched? Medusa asked if she watched the announcement which revealed who Medusa is. Yes, I did. Anyway, I rarely get any visitors, in the exceptions of Shoto, who would sometimes come and visit me, and I would always apologize to him for what I have done to him right after I snapped at him, because the only image I see in Shoto is his father, who I always hated. Rei, in the verge of tears out of guilt for the burned mark on Shoto's face, is given some comfort by Medusa. Before our match can start, I was confronted by Endeavor himself, who arranged a quirk marriage between me and Shoto. All because he sees me strong. Rei goes into shock after hearing that from Medusa. Unfortunately, me and Shoto didn't really agree with this, and I gave Shoto an earpiece to listen to my conversation with him. Yeah, Shoto mentioned that your marriage with him is a loveless marriage, so Endeavor can be number one after All Might's time is over. He even wants a strong heir to surpass All Might as well. All I see in his desires to be number one is him being foolish about all of it. His desires also caused the disappearances of your other son, Toya Todoroki. Even Rei has no idea that Toya goes by the name Dabai Aka Blue Flame and is part of the League of Villains too. I like how you feel about NG's desires to be number one after All Might is done. Rei shares what Medusa sees in Endeavor's foolish desires. I told Shoto that someday I will expose Endeavor's wrongdoings, and what happens to him will depend. I'm grateful for that, Medusa. I just want NG's wrongdoings to just go away. XXX. On the rooftops on the other side of the hospital, someone with blue flames glowing around his arms is watching Medusa and Rei having a conversation. Tonight, you, Medusa, and me are about to have our own conversation. The person disappears from the roof in blue flames after saying that to himself. XXX. Flashback. Recovery Girl's nurse office. Hey Medusa, did you have to lay me in your lap like that? Shoto asked because he does remember being laid on Medusa's lap, which is done by her. Yeah, it was the best thing I can do to be sure I comfort you well. Medusa's answers causes Shoto to blush red because this is her way of comfort. End of flashback. Musutafu City rooftops. Medusa just finished her visit with Rei Todoroki, and she is now heading home, and she is jumping from every rooftop to return to the Midoriya apartment. Medusa halts when blue flames gets right into her path. After stopping in her tracks, the blue flames dies down and a figure appears in front of her. Hello Medusa, or should I say the former Izuku Midoriya. Nice to finally meet you in person. The person greets her in a kind manner. And you are? I'm Dabai Aka Blue Flame, and I'm part of the Vanguard Action Squad of the League of Villains. But I was thinking you might find these flames somewhat familiar to you, and I don't mean by the color of it. I meant the people who also uses quirk-based flames. If you don't know what I mean, perhaps you can say that there was Shoto Todoroki, Natsuo and Fayumi, plus the other son that went missing, and was presumed dead after the abusive and harsh training caused by the father who wished to be number one after All Might's time is over. Dabai gave her a hint, and a clue that might give her the idea on who Dabai is actually. You're Toya Todoroki. Medusa answers and Dabai nods his head, as yes she is correct, that he is really Toya Todoroki. Well, if you think or thought Shoto and Mom are the only ones who actually hated Dad for his foolish desires to be number one after All Might's time is over. Even I despise him more than they did because what he did to Shoto. He first tried it on me to be strong heir to surpass All Might, and I've grown fed up with it. I choose to just disappear afterwards, Dabai explains while slowly approaching Medusa. Then you met up with the League of Villains, and you joined them after meeting them and became part of the Vanguard squad. Medusa deduces what happened next after he disappeared and was presumed dead. Yes, but no one can tell who I was when I first showed myself, not even any curiosity when they saw my blue flames. Even that buffoon Endeavor couldn't even tell who I was, or even show any suspicion on the side of my blue flames. But I'm really fine that nobody knows because I want it to stay that way. Dabai is even fine that nobody even knows who he is and wants it to keep it and stay that way. But even I know that your powers isn't a quirk. It's known as Noble Phantasm, and they are quite powerful than any of our quirks in the world. But let's see if you can jab this. Daba Blue Flame unexpectedly jabs his right hand into Medusa's gut. Next he tries to ignite his blue flames from the inside, trying to burn her from within, but Medusa counters by headbutting him right in the face. Didn't I mention my quirk is cremation? Dabai reveals his quirk and Medusa knows what cremation is. Dabai attacks her again with his cremation quirk, and everything that his blue flames touch gets cremated. Medusa rams him, and he is sent slamming him into the wall, denting it, and they are both off the rooftops and into the alleys. XXX. Alleys. Medusa and Dabai continue throwing punches and kicks without using their quirks and Noble Phantasm or even melee weapons. Dabai throws a spin kicks and punches, which Medusa evades and blocks, using only her right arm. Medusa throws a punch, but Dabai caught it. Nice catch, Dabai. Medusa takes things seriously and kicks Dabai, sending slamming into a brick wall, but he managed to recover from that, and he grabs and throws Medusa, but she managed to grab onto a metal pole, spin around and kicks Dabai again, and sending slamming into another brick wall, and he recovers from that too. Dabai uses his cremation quirk, but Medusa flips backwards to avoid them and Dabai again throws punches and kicks at her, and in the end Medusa defeats him by kicking and sending him slamming into light pole, which knocks him out for good, and the light globe falls off from the light pole and shatters after hitting the ground on impact. Suddenly a warp gate opens and Dabai has been retrieved before Medusa can take him. I guess the League of Villains isn't going to let me take him. Medusa deduced the rest of the League of Villains were watching the outcome of their battle, and they wouldn't allow her to take Dabai. Todoroki household. Medusa is at the Todoroki household, and she is going to tell the Todorokis all except for Rei, who is still at the hospital. But thanks to a pad that Medusa is using, she gets her to listen and watch what she had learned about Daba Blue Flame. Anyone else that Medusa wants to listen and watch what she is about reveal is the same using the pad, so they can hear what Medusa is going to say and reveal to everyone. XXX. Everyone. While I was on my way home after my visit with Rei Todoroki at the hospital, I ran into Dabai Aka Blue Flame, and he's also part of League of Villains Vanguard Squad. Dabai also gave me a hint and a clue on who his true identity is. He is Toya Todoroki. Medusa reveals what happened previously on her way home and reveals who Dabai Blue Flame is. Toya? But wasn't he presumed dead after he disappeared? Fayumi wonders. Perhaps that's what he made you all believed, after the day he disappeared and was presumed dead. Somehow he met up with the League of Villains, and he joined them as part of the Vanguard Squad, and he changes his name into Dabai with the villain name or alias Blue Flame. His quirk is cremation, meaning everything that his blue fire quirk touches gets cremated altogether. Dabai told me how Endeavor tried to train him to be a strong heir to surpass All Might using his abusive training methods on him. But in the end, he became fed up with it, and he chose to just leave and disappear. Eventually, with him gone, Endeavor chooses to train Shoto to be a strong heir using the same abusive training methods that he inflicted on him before. Dabai said everything to me that Endeavor's desires to be number one after All Might's time is over is all foolish. When Medusa revealed all that, everyone in the family turns and glares at Endeavor. Even everyone on the screen of the pad are glaring at him, agreeing with Medusa, saying that Endeavor was foolish. Also, Rei is only stuck in the hospital because of what she did to Shoto's burned face, although she didn't mean to do that to him. Whenever she came to Shoto's defense every time he gives all that abusive training, Endeavor hits her, although it's almost like abusive, and when she finally snaps, while on the phone she pours boiling water on Shoto's face, giving him that burn mark on his face. It's because when she looks at Shoto, she only sees her abusive husband. For the record, her marriage with Endeavor is really a loveless marriage. He only wanted her quirk to get a strong heir to surpass All Might, all for his foolish desire to be number one. Again, Endeavor is glared at for his foolish desires, especially the fact that Rei's marriage with him is loveless. Believe what Medusa says is really true, because I told her that during our match, and now Toya shows up out of nowhere and tells her what happened to him after he disappeared and presumes himself dead, which in reality he actually joined the League of Villains. I really despise my dad for his foolish desires to be number one after All Might's time is over, and for what he did to my mom, which landed her in the hospital, Shoto said, and he admits that he despises his father for his foolish desires. Well, Endeavor, since everybody in this channel now knows what you have done, which is really wrong, you will get a well-deserved punishment. All Might on one of the channels of the pad warns Endeavor that he will get a well-deserved punishment. One thing that is done is Medusa fades and appears in front of Endeavor, and then she punches him in the face and kicks him in the face. Endeavor spits out a single teeth before falling unconscious. Was that supposed to be necessary? Yes, it is All Might, Medusa answered him. Pretty much, I never want him to be seen as a pro-hero ever again. Shoto says because what kind of well-deserved punishment his dad will get will eventually make him lose any rights for him to be a pro-hero ever again. Medusa's paw. So a lot of us participate in Endeavor's punishment for his wrongdoings that he has done to his family. Endeavor tries to explain his reasons and excuses that he only wanted a strong heir to surpass All Might, and he wanted to be number one after All Might's time is over. Unfortunately for him, we all dismissed all that as his foolish desires, and that completely led his other son Toya Todoroki, now going by the name Dabai Aka Blue Flame, to just disappear and presumed dead. But now everybody knows that he is alive, and is now a member of the League of Villains as a part of the Vanguard Squad. That abusive training that he tried to inflict on Shoto is also what caused Rei to snap and pour boiling water into his face, which gave him that burn mark. Yeah, everyone isn't really happy that he also hit Rei whenever she came to Shoto's defense. She explained when she finally snapped and poured boiling water into Shoto's face is because when she looks at him, she only sees her husband and no one else. Now she is in the hospital trying to recover from her mental problems, and Shoto was the only visitor she gets. And then I show up to visit her so I can talk to her. I choose to say again that he only married Rei because he wanted a strong heir, and the marriage was nothing but a loveless marriage. I even mention what's so bad about the ranking system too, and Endeavor was the example of that. Well, now that everyone have finally had enough of Endeavor's foolish desire to be number one, Endeavor loses his hero license to be a pro-hero, which made everyone view him as a failure as one. Plus his children will be separated from him. Lastly, as well-deserved punishment for his wrongdoings and foolish desire to be number one, he will be thrown in Tartarus prison. Lastly, Rei is a little recovered from her mental problems, decided to just come home anyway, and be with her family now they are all free from Endeavor. Everybody thanks me for the help, but I insist that Shoto should also be thanked too, because he told me everything before. Right after we were leaving, we kind of saw Dabai watching us from the rooftops before he departed by entering another warp gate. I told the Todorokis that we'll be seeing him again, but I highly doubt he wants to come back to the family due to his allegiances to the League of Villains. End of POV. Medusa's POV. I was with the Todorokis spending some time with them the very next day. Suddenly, Daba Blue Flame returns through a warp gate provided by Kurogiri. He said he wants a round 2 with me. Well, the family said that they wanted him to come back, but he refuses because he chooses his loyalty to the League of Villains. But he is satisfied that Endeavor is finally out of the picture. Well, there is probably no getting through him. So I had no choice but to fight him again. Although I whispered to Shoto to call the others to tell them that Dabai is here. End of POV. Todoroki household present time. Medusa and Dabai are ready to fight, but this Medusa makes the first move by quickly ramming Dabai in the gut and pinning him to a wall. But he quickly gets her off him and slams her head in the wall and a cabinet before pushing her into a table. Medusa quickly stands and rams him again. Getting back on there, Dabai was going to use his cremation quirk, but Medusa punches him in the face before he can try it. Dabai grabs a kitchen knife, which quickly gets knocked off his hands thanks to Medusa using her chains like a whip. She dropkicks him, and again Medusa pins him to the floor. But once more he kicks her off him, but hitting her in the back. This Dabai uses his cremation quirk, but Medusa rolls out of the way to avoid before throwing a plate like a disc and breaks on impact when it hits Dabai right in the head. You are really fast, Medusa. For someone whose powers, that's not a quirk, but a noble phantasm. Dabai compliments her for being how fast she is due to her powers being a noble phantasm that's far different from quirks. Thanks for the compliment, Dabai. The fight resumes, and the two combatants fights their way upstairs. Dabai grabs a steel bar and tries to hit her with it, only for him to drop it after Medusa disarms him. The fight continues when they reach the bedroom, until they throw themselves out the window and into the gate entrances. Medusa crawls to grab something as Dabai, now fed up with unable to land any blows to Medusa, charges at her with his blue flames in both his hands. Ra! Ka-bang! When you want me, you got me. Medusa has knocked out Dabai, using the mailbox with enough force to knock him unconscious and end the fight as Dabai lays on the ground unconscious. As Medusa gets up, she gets interrupted by Kurogiri, who prevents her from taking Dabai again like before. Still can't let you take him, Medusa, Kurogiri said, grabbing Dabai and leaving by entering his warp gate. He got away again, Medusa said to herself as she is reunited with Shoto and the other Todorokis. He got away again? With a little help from Kurogiri, yeah, she answered Shoto. I guess everyone that's coming have already missed this, Fayumi said to her, because while they were fighting, Shoto already called for help. But they already missed all the battle. Yeah, they did. Midoriya apartment. Medusa is in bed sleeping, but no clothes. At least she covers herself with a blanket. Oh, and she still has her blindfold. While Medusa is fast asleep, a commotion coming from the roof is going on. It turns out to be a violet-colored portal that opened and a figure comes out of it, and then the portal closes. The person wears a costume that's similar to the one Izuku Midoriya was going to wear originally before his death at the hands of Sludge Villain, and he only has sketch of what it's going to look like. But the color is black and violet, full face covered mask, a black hood with a cloak and armed with a death scythe that's colored violet and black. I wonder what dimension did I randomly go to? The person asks and wonders, but the voice sounds like Izuku Midoriya because it is him. Just an alternate version of Izuku Midoriya. Oh, it's my old home. Well, I can use some rest right now. Izuku enters through the windows, as he was able to open it and get inside. XXX. Inside the Midoriya apartment. Well, it's a good thing I was able to find my old room, he said to himself, but he has no idea that his counterpart Medusa is in bed. Time for bed, and then I will explore this random alternate universe I landed. As he walked toward the bed, he noticed someone is there. Slowly, he pulls off the blanket in order to take good look to see who's in bed. Oh my, he whispered and blushed after seeing who's bed. Just keep quiet, you, Medusa whispered to him. It turns out she was awake ever since she heard someone coming into her room. Medusa keeps herself covered and Izuku covers himself, and was allowed to look again when Medusa is in a bedrobe. Now to business. Who are you and why do you look like when I was still Izuku Midoriya before I died at the hands of the sludge villain, and then reincarnated as Medusa after ended up in some void? Now did you mention that I actually you from an alternate universe? I died like you did at the hands of the sludge villain. After I did, I ended up in the void where I given another chance to live again by reincarnates, but not like you at all. I just had a change of appearances, that's all. The alternate Izuku explains that his fate was similar to Medusa, but the genders were not changed, just the appearances. So what do you call yourself then? My name has been changed to Medusa. My name remains the same. My new alias is Reaper Deku because I wield a death scythe. He answered that he still has his original name, but a new alias. That's nice. I take it you're blindfolded because something will always once somebody looks you in the eyes, right? Correct. But even if I'm blindfolded, I can still see everything, and I know what I'm doing too. Also, my powers is called Noble Phantasm, and they are far different from a quirk. Anyone who looks me in the eye will turn into stone. Well, since you're here, I bet you're sticking around in my universe for now, right? Yes, I am Medusa, but I actually didn't come here on purpose. I was just trying my new multiverse remote control that I invented to see if it really works, and it works. All did is randomly pick an alternate universe to go to. Izuku shows his multiverse remote control to Medusa. Let me guess, when it's time for you to jump home, you just lock on to the coordinates of your Earth, and then you open a portal. Yes, the same way I got here. Suddenly the door sprung open, and Inko enters the room. Hey Medusa, who are you talking to? Inko then pauses when she sees the stranger talking with Medusa resembles her son, just with the same colored hair like Medusa. Oh hey mom, Reaper Deku greets her. Some time ago, Inko is introduced to Reaper Deku, who tells her where he is from and how he became like this, which was almost similar to Medusa, except not the change of gender, but a change of appearances. Well, Inko was interested by the story, and she would be fine having two versions of her child around before returning to her room. Medusa tells Reaper Deku that they will have an adventure tomorrow while he is in her universe. He said that will be fine by him while he is here. He will enjoy his stay in this universe of Medusa. Next day, Medusa and Reaper Deku enjoy their time out of streets, which is Kiyoshi's shopping ward. Hey Medusa, look at this. Reaper Deku shows her an article on the newspaper. Oh, Endeavor actually did abuse his family for his foolish desire to be number one after All Might's time is over. Medusa tells him about Endeavor's foolish actions that threw him in prison in the first place. What did he do? And whom he's been abusing? Reaper Deku only asks because he has not yet known about this in his universe, because he has not yet discovered that. He gave Shoto an abusive training in order for him to surpass All Might because he wanted a strong heir. Plus, his marriage with Rei Todoroki was a loveless marriage, because he only sought her quirk for a strong heir to the family. Also, he was also abusing Rei whenever she came to Shoto's defense. Well, he was just hitting her, but I view it as abuse. You about that burn mark on Shoto's face, right? Yeah, I just never bother to ask him, and Shoto just won't say anything about the burn mark on his face. His mother was actually responsible for Shoto's burn mark, but she never meant to do that to him. She just couldn't take all the abuse anymore, and when she looks at Shoto, she only sees her husband that she despises, and she snapped. Then she poured boiling water on Shoto, which gave him that burn mark to his face. After that, she landed in the hospital due to her mental problems. But Shoto would usually come and visit her. I take it that Endeavor was exposed, and now he's been thrown in prison for his actions, and Rei is back home now, right? Medusa nodded her head as a yes. There's also something else. Before Shoto, Endeavor inflicted the same abusive training on his other son Toya Todoroki, which in turn made him disappear and was presumed dead. That wasn't the case. Toya actually joined the League of Villains after he disappeared, and now he goes by the name Dabai, and his villain alias is Blue Flame. Plus, he's part of the Vanguard squad. Lastly, his quirk is cremation. After his quirk touches anything, it cremated. You know, Medusa, I actually did encounter Dabai alongside the rest of the Vanguard squad, but I didn't know that he was Toya Todoroki. Well, now you do, because you told that. Medusa gave him a toxic smile on her face, which Reaper Deku finds creepy. When I get back to my dimension, I'm going to confront Shoto and tell him what you told me and expose Endeavor's wrongdoings. Reaper Deku, now having the knowledge of Endeavor's wrongdoings, plans to expose him back in his universe. That's fine by me, because I'm not going to stop you anyway. Medusa doesn't mind if he does that. Endeavor was also on a lookout for any strong women that he can select for Shoto's bride-to-be. Medusa revealed that part that both she and Shoto would never agree to. Seriously. Yeah, and I'm not joking. During my match with Shoto, he confronted me and viewed me strong and picked me as Shoto's bride-to-be. But I gave Shoto an earpiece so he can listen to the conversation that Endeavor and me are having, and he disgusted with him as much as I am. So who won the match? I did. After checking Shoto in the recovery girl's nurse's office, I went to visit Rei next and tell her the same conversation and what I discovered. After I was done, I met up with Dabai himself, and we had a brief battle, and I defeated him. But he got away thanks to a little help from Kurogiri. What came next was I warn everybody about Dabai, and then expose Endeavor's wrongdoings and foolish desires. Right after Endeavor went to prison, Dabai came back for round 2, and I still defeated him, and yet he still got away thanks to Kurogiri. He doesn't want to come back, the family, does he? No. But he is satisfied that Endeavor is finally out of the picture anyway. Medusa tells the only part that Dabai is happy about. Mad World. Musutafu City. Medusa and her counterpart Reaper Deku takes a walk out in the city to give him the tour of her dimension. But it's not like he even needs it, since his world dimension has the same layout like hers anyway. But at least they should just take walk anyway, so they can explore along the way. Plus, Medusa plans to introduce the UA gang to Reaper Deku as well, and where they are right now is at some random park. And they are both sitting down in a bench. Hey, do you have anything else you want to do other than just sit around here? I can sing a song, and I've done that many times already, Reaper Deku. Medusa said that she can sing songs since she has done so many times already in the past. Okay, then just do it so I can hear it. Your first time? Yeah, my first time seeing my counterparts sing, and I like to see firsthand. Okay then, let's begin. Medusa stands up and walks to a good spot, and then music starts playing from out of nowhere, and that also gets the crowd's attention. It's Medusa, and she's about to sing another song. Let's all watch and listen. The crowd gathers to watch and listen to Medusa's next song. Mad World. Within Temptation. Can't control the restless part of me. Bowing down our heads to love and greed. I wonder, Can't deny, it's in my head. A world in flames, the blood we shed. Walls are falling down on us. We want to scream our pain and break away from the dark. Caught in this wicked game. We know that nothing stays the same. 'Cause we're living in a mad world. 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 Trying to hold on to all we know. But one day turn around and let it go. Restless. Can't deny the dreams we had. Our glowing sparks. The fire ain't dead. Walls are falling down on us. We want to scream our pain and break away from the dark. Caught in this wicked game. We know that nothing stays the same. 'Cause we're living in a mad world. 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 We hate, we love, we're fighting. This world is tearing us apart. And piece by piece, we're crumbling. We're crumbling. We want to scream our pain and break away from the dark. Caught in this wicked game. We know that nothing stays the same. 'Cause we're living in a mad world. 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 End of song. After the song, everyone started clapping their hands and cheering for a good performance Medusa put up. Even Reaper Deku is clapping and cheering for that. You like it, Reaper Deku? That was so fantastic. Reaper Deku shouted like he is being very hyper. Okay, you can stop being so hyper now. Medusa grabs him to settle him down now. Sorry about that, Medusa. It's just this is the first time I've seen my counterparts sing that is so good. Reaper Deku said his reasons for being so hyper like that after listening to Medusa's song to begin with. That's okay, Reaper Deku. Right now we need to meet up with the gang. Right. XXX. Elsewhere. Wow, Medusa is getting really good at this. Kyoka said after she and the Yua gang heard it too. Hey Gyro, you think you can try singing alongside Medusa? What makes you say that, Momo? Because you like music and singing too, since we all saw the stuff you have in your room, but Medusa wasn't there to see it. Momo explains the reason why she asked her that. Maybe when we see Medusa again, I'll ask if that's okay with her. Part 2. Medusa and Reaper Deku are on their way to meet with the Yua gang, and where they meet them is at Dagaba Beach because the gang wanted to spend some time there. Medusa and Reaper Deku sees Kaken, Shoto, Tenya, Ijiro, Mainta, Denki, Takoyami, Ochako, Momo, Asui, Jiro, Toru, Mina and Itsuka having in the beach with swim clothes in them. Medusa waves hello to all of them, and they all except for Kaken wave hello to them. Well, let's get down there and meet them, Reaper Deku. You got it, Medusa. By the way, my Kaken is really the same like yours. Reaper Deku reminds her that his Kaken of his dimension is the same hot-tempered friend like Medusa's Kaken as they get down to meet the gang. XXX. Beach. Hiya, Medusa. Good to see ya. And who is that with you? Ochako asked. But Reaper Deku removes his hood for everyone to see, much to their surprise. This here is Izuku Midoriya from another dimension, and he goes by the alias Reaper Deku. Like me, he too fell victim to the sludge villain, and he ended up in the void just like me. But the only difference is there was no change of gender. Medusa explains Reaper Deku's appearance and how he became like that. But my hair color is that same as Medusa here. Reaper Deku removes his mask, shows the same color hair like Medusa, but not long hair, just the same short hair like it was before. Oh, the reason why I'm even here in your dimension is because I wanted to try out my new Multiverse remote control, and really works after all after one test try. Well, I want to explore Medusa's dimension before I can go home. That's nice, Reaper Deku, Momo said. By the way, is Bakugo the same hot-tempered friend like here? Mainta asked if Kaken is the same in Reaper Deku's dimension, just like their own. Yes, he is. But in my change, he keeps on getting outsmarted by me. This causes Kaken to growl in anger until Medusa knocks him out with a whip of her chains in a single swipe. "None of that, Kaken," Medusa said, gritting his teeth, while the others laugh on what happened to Kaken after getting knocked. And there's a red mark on the back of his neck, where Medusa's chains hit him. "By the way, Reaper Deku, during the time when they didn't know who I was, I fought against the Yua gang, saving Kaken for last, and I bit him in the neck like a vampire." Medusa mentioned the part where he bit Kaken in the neck like a vampire, which was another noble phantasm known as Breaker Gorgon Dark Temple. But that was another noble phantasm known as Breaker Gorgon or Dark Temple. "That's interesting, Medusa. I hope Kaken still remember all that." "He actually does remember all that even now, except that he doesn't mention any of it." Izuku reveals that Kaken still remember experiencing the vampire bite of Medusa, but doesn't want to talk about it. That's because all that memory is still in his head. Minta said Kaken's reason on why he never wants to talk about anyway. Plus, that bite mark Medusa left on him is still really there on his neck. Takoyami said mention the bite mark Medusa left on his neck. "Anyway, let's just enjoy ourselves here in the beach while it lasts." Medusa tells then should just enjoy themselves in the beach. Part 3 Chat Talk. Musutafu City somewhere. There was Medusa and Reaper Deku, who are just standing there until they talk. "Hello everyone, I'm Medusa. And I'm Reaper Deku, and this here is our chat talk today." They are doing somewhat like a TV show or live chat of their own. "Oh, and welcome to our show," Medusa said, and the audiences of civilians and quirk heroes who's watching clapped their hands and cheered. "Well, Reaper Deku and I are both alternate version of Izuku Midoriya, who are both reincarnate into a new appearances and new identity. Even a change of gender, which are caused when the sludge villain killed us. But there is a differences." Medusa said who they are, and will now say the differences. "My case, I stayed a male, but have a new appearances, and have my death scythe, which came with my new appearance. And me, my gender is changed into a female with a beautiful appearances and a new name, Medusa. Lastly, both of us have been given new powers too, which in our case are not even quirks. They are known as noble phantasm." Reaper Deku said next about their new powers. They've been given after reincarnation, which are not quirks and identified as noble phantasm. Also in the multi-universe, there are more Izuku Midoriyas who are also reincarnated, but largely into a new identity and appearances. That also includes some new powers, but are not quirks, and pretty much these alternate Izuku Midoriyas have their genders put into a female, which is largely rather than staying in the original gender, which is a male. Medusa says on how many of the multi-universe Izuku Midoriya are made after reincarnated, which doesn't always stay as a male, but largely as a female, even getting non-quirk powers. But not all of these reincarnations of Izuku Midoriya won't always be a hero at all. Sometimes these beings who reincarnates Izuku Midoriya of the multi-universe are sometimes evil and reincarnate Izuku Midoriya into a villain after altering their personality, and thus making that Izuku Midoriya permanently evil. Reaper Deku explains about not every reincarnation can come out always as a hero, but sometimes into a villain. Also, sometimes the Izuku Midoriya who becomes evil while being reincarnated is sometimes because the reincarnation process gets interrupted by a dark force, which tampers with the reincarnation process, and thus corrupting the reincarnated Izuku Midoriya into evil that cannot be cured. Medusa also mentions the other reasons what also caused these reincarnated Izuku Midoriya to come out evil is due to dark forces tampering with the reincarnation. Also, these evil reincarnated Dekus can sometimes join up with villain faction, or just be neutral and attack all factions, and show no mercy to no one. Medusa said the next thing can happen once these evil reincarnated Dekus are brought back to the world of the living. They can pick a side or not and go on a killing spree. And sometimes these reincarnation doesn't come out as human. It can sometimes come out something like a kaiju. What Medusa means is giant monsters like Godzilla or other random kaiju. XXX. Unknown elsewhere. Some dark energy with one woman is coming to the dimension where Medusa is. This means evil forces from another dimension is coming to invade her dimension. Part 4. Medusa and Reaper Deku are planning on meeting the pros. They already finished their talk show, so moving on to the next place they want to be. So where do you expect all of the pro heroes gather anyway? You don't know Reaper Deku? No, I don't. I've never visited any hero office before. I never did either. Well, that's surprising that both counterparts have never actually visits any pro hero officer. So they never know where to meet any of the pro heroes who gather around when they are not fighting crime or helping in case of any disaster that goes in the city. You know what? I think we should look around in the streets to see if any pro heroes are around meeting their fans. Good idea, Medusa. Reaper Deku agrees with that suggestion that they should find them out in the streets meeting their fans. XXX. Random streets. Okay, so both Medusa and Reaper Deku look around for the pro heroes, but they spot many fans gathering around. This must be our chance to greet the pros. Medusa and Reaper Deku head over where all the fans are gathered. There they see it was All Might with Midnight, MT Lady, Kamui Woods, Present Mike, and Ryuko Tatsuma Aka Ryukyu. For some reason All Might is in a wheelchair with Midnight pushing. It's likely due to his worsening state, which he will not reveal to the fans. But she already knows that ever since she discovered that. Hey All Might? Oh hey Medusa. Oh, and who is that with you? This here is Reaper Deku. He's a Izuku Midoriya from another dimension. Really? Yeah, like me, he was reincarnated. The only difference is his gender stays a male and not changed into a female like me. But his hair has been changed into the same color as mine's. Medusa explains everything that Reaper Deku told her previously. Oh, okay. If you're wondering why I'm in a wheelchair, I'm just tired. But Medusa could tell that's not actually the point on why All Might is in a wheelchair. It's because of his condition that begins to worsen due to the injuries he sustained all those years ago during his battle with All for One. I already know what you mean by that, All Might. Even Reaper Deku's All Might has the same problem too, Medusa said, and even mentions that his counterpart from Reaper Deku's dimension is also having the same problem too. Well, is that all you wanted us to see? Yeah, that's all I wanted. I just wanted to introduce Reaper Deku to all of you, that's all. Medusa said that's all she wanted, introduce Reaper Deku to them, that's all. XXX. Elsewhere. Somewhere in the dark alleys of Musutafu City, a dark portal opens, and emerging from it is a woman who resembles Medusa, but not the same style of clothing like her. But she has the same chain daggers with her. Part 5. Corrupt Medusa. Musutafu Streets. What is it, Medusa? Medusa and Reaper Deku continue to walk around streets after they are done meeting with All Might, Midnight, MT Lady, Kamui Woods, Present Mike, and Ryuko until Medusa halts, like if she senses something invading her dimension. I think someone or something has entered my dimension, and it's coming from the alleys. Medusa answer what she sensed. Then let's go and check it out. Right. So the duo head for the alleys to see who this visitor or invader is. XXX. Alleys. Well, here we are. Medusa and Reaper Deku got to the source, but finds the place empty. That because the invader is hiding from them. But can you sense the stranger? Yes, the stranger is still here with us. While Medusa and Reaper Deku continue searching with their weapons drawn, the stranger also pulls her own chain daggers similar to Medusa's chain daggers. Evade. Medusa and Reaper Deku move out of the way from the ambush attack, caused by the stranger who reveals to be another Medusa, but looks different. It's the outfit and blindfold that looks different. Another Medusa? Yes, I am another Medusa, and was once Izuku Midoriya from my dimension like the both of you were too. The stranger who was another Medusa reveals that even she was once Izuku Midoriya from her own dimension. What's your story? Medusa asked the other Medusa on what's her background. Call me Dark Medusa. My origins is the same like the both of you. Killed by the sludge villain before All Might can get to me. Then I ended up in some unknown void who also offer me a chance to live again through reincarnation, and I accept it. But just as the reincarnation was already commencing, Some dark force interrupts the reincarnation proceeds and tampers with me, and thus turning me corrupt. Now this what I've become, corrupt Medusa, but I prefer dark Medusa. Pretty much I menace many heroes in my dimension, and some villains too. I also killed the sludge villain as revenge for killing me. Did you kill any heroes along the way? Aside from just killing villains. None in the slightest, so far since I enjoy messing with All Might in my dimension, and yet he and everyone else including my family have learned of my true identity. Dark Medusa revealed that she has not yet killed any heroes, even saying that still nobody knows about her true identity in her dimension. And that's because she hasn't revealed any if that yet, or even given them any hints. Something tells me you are a threat in my dimension, Medusa said, which made Dark Medusa smirk at that. Indeed, I am Medusa. That's why you, Reaper Deku, and many others will be stopping me before I menace your dimension just like I did mine. But right now there is no fighting me today, maybe some other time. Dark Medusa disappears from their sight, and nowhere to be seen anymore. Great. What do we do now? We need to warn everyone about the threat that Dark Medusa poses right now. Medusa tells Reaper Deku that they really need to alert everyone about the threat that Dark Medusa, because with her here in this dimension, everyone is in danger. XXX. Alternate dimension or another dimension. Well, that was fun to watch. Shame I won't be joining in the fun. This person watching from a crystal ball is Lancer Medusa Alter. Just like her counterparts, she was Izuku Midoriya until his death at the hands of the sludge villain. What happened next is he ending up in the void, and he accepted the offer to live again by getting reincarnated, but was interrupted by some dark force that made his new appearances known as Lancer Medusa alter into evil after getting tampered. After getting unleashed, she menaced her dimension just like Dark Medusa did. Her new appearance resembles Reaper Deku, but has Medusa features. Part final. Previously. Last time Medusa and Reaper Deku encountered Dark Medusa. According to Dark Medusa, she was Izuku Midoriya previously and was killed by the sludge villain just like them. After this, he was sent to some unknown void who gave him an offer to be reincarnated and live again, which he accepted. But suddenly some unknown dark force interrupts the reincarnation and tampers with that Izuku, causing him to become a corrupt Medusa known as Dark Medusa. Dark Medusa said that she menaced both heroes and villains alike, even killed the sludge villain, without any sign of mercy or remorse on her action. Dark Medusa said that she hasn't killed any heroes yet. Plus, nobody in her dimension knows that Dark Medusa is actually Izuku Midoriya, unlike the Medusa of this current dimension, who all knows who she was before becoming Medusa. After departing, Medusa and Reaper Deku needed to warn everyone else about the threat of Dark Medusa. Meanwhile, another corrupted Medusa, which the Lancer Alter Medusa watches them from a crystal ball, but will not enter that dimension. There was some thoughts about Dark Medusa's abilities and powers. It's likely she might have the same noble phantasm too, but can be more deadly. XXX. Medusa and Reaper Deku are heading for Ua High, because there is gathering there. But they need to warn them about Dark Medusa before she can terrorize anybody in their dimension, heroes, civilians, and villains alike. You know that they are busy with the gathering, right? I know that already. But we still need to warn them anyway. Medusa said they really need to warn them regardless of what everybody is doing. Tweet. Medusa whistled to get everyone's attention, while MT Lady was up on stage, doing some interviews from fans and fellow heroes. Oh, Medusa and Reaper Deku. All Might, who was also up on stage, still keeping that stronger form up, then Medusa and Reaper Deku jumps to the stage from a distance away from where they stand. Sorry for interrupting from whatever gathering you all had here for the fans. But we have an evil visitor from another dimension. Medusa pulls out a photo of Dark Medusa to show to everyone. Even the big screen above the stage shows it too. Somehow, while have conversation with Dark Medusa, Medusa and Reaper Deku were able to get a photograph of her to see what she looks like. Ah, who is that? Hawks asked. Who is that to Medusa? And why does she look like you? Mirko asked next. Plus, what's her story? Aizawa also asked too. Well, this woman in this photo is also Medusa, but she is known as Dark Medusa. Like me, she was once Izuku Midoriya from her own dimension before being killed by the sludge villain. After that, Izuku would be reincarnated just like me. But some unknown dark force interrupts and tampers with the reincarnation, causing that Medusa from that dimension to become corrupted and evil. After being unleashed into her dimension, she begins to terrorize both heroes and villains alike. Her body counts is on villains, but no heroes yet. Also, everyone in her dimension is still unaware that Dark Medusa was actually their Izuku Midoriya, because she hasn't revealed herself yet. So they all believe Izuku Midoriya is already dead, but unaware that he was reincarnated into an evil version of me. Medusa reveals her knowledge about Dark Medusa based on what she told her and Reaper Deku. But in the multi-universe, there can be more Dark Medusa too, instead of only one. Reaper Deku is really referring to the Lancer Alter Medusa, whom they haven't encountered yet. Also, Dark Medusa might also have the same noble phantasm like I do. It's just more deadly probably. Medusa noted that Dark Medusa might also have the same noble phantasm like she do too. What else we know? There can be other Izuku Midoriyas that start off as a good person, but then turns into a villain, and these can sometimes be caused by the same unknown dark force. Or he wasn't turned down like the way All Might was supposed to have been in the many multi-universe. Medusa even talks about the multi-universe Dekus, who can start off as good then turn bad next no matter how happens. Good thing our young Midoriya was reincarnated into a good Medusa. All Might thought, because if they did met priors becoming Medusa, who would have talked to him with some dignity. Okay, you're saying that Dark Medusa is out there doing something really bad, isn't she? All Might asked. That's what Dark Medusa is doing right now. Most likely All Might she is doing ever since she got to our dimension. Medusa said it's likely Dark Medusa is already terrorizing people in their dimension. But there is something else. Dark Medusa is looking forward on her battle against me. Medusa said that Dark Medusa is looking forward on battling her. But are you going to be moral when fighting her? Ruko asked if Medusa is going to fight Dark Medusa in a moral way. That's something we'll need to find out. Because since Dark Medusa already killed too many villains, while terrorizing many heroes and civilians too, I might have to kill her because me and Reaper Deku already view her as dangerous. Medusa said she might resort to killing assuming Dark Medusa is deemed too dangerous to be allowed to live based on everything she has done in her dimension. Plus, me and Reaper Deku believes she may have the ability to open portals that can allow her to jump into other dimensions whenever she wants. Medusa never actually seen it, but that's very possible on how she was able to jump into this dimension. Okay, we get that you might have to kill her. But can you try to open her portal and send her back to her dimension? Ochako said to her. Only if Dark Medusa gives me an opening for that. Medusa said she can try that if Dark Medusa gives her an opening when they battle again. XXX. Meanwhile, that's a good speech, Medusa. But I will not allow you to open my portals to send me away back to my dimension. Dark Medusa, who was watching somewhere close by on higher ground, said after learning that Medusa might try to use her portals in order to send her away.